Greetings, fellow psychotic clowns. Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And Jacob Wile, too.
And welcome to the Main Street Cinema, the show where we discuss the finer points in filmmaking. Alright, guys, so the last time DC dropped a new movie, kind of a shit show. Kind of a shit show, not gonna lie. We all had high hopes for Batman v Superman, and we were all a little bit let down. Even if, granted, that like you and me, Dragon, we were probably some of the people that were like not as harsh as other people of that movie, but even still. So,
At least I wasn't as harsh.
I'm very curious to talk about this movie. I'm very curious because it's gotten just such a polarizing reaction. I liked it a lot, but I definitely don't think it's a perfect movie by any stretch of the imagination. I'm willing to bet that the three of us are going to have like three completely different opinions of the movie, which is going to make for a fun conversation. We're talking Suicide Squad. Oh yeah. And by the way, go to hotchocolatebd.net for the Movie Machine podcast. What happens when you take four funny people and improv a movie based on a random story generator really, really fast? And much like the Suicide Squad, the squad of Ben Lifson, Jacob Gover, Kyle Decker, and a host of others. The host of others kind of being like the Slipknot in the movie where, you never know how long the rotating guest star is going to last, but I digress. Squad goals. Yes, Movie Machine. All right, hotchocolatemedia.net. So, we're going to have some background. Dragon, do you mind, before we get into background, if we just go roundtable and have like a very quick kind of thesis statement about our thoughts on the movie?
Well, yeah, sure. I thought I just assumed we were going to do that. By all means, go ahead.
Okay. My thesis statement is going to be really fucking controversial, and Dragon, I don't think you're going to agree with it at all. Are you ready?
Go on.
I think this is the closest representation we've had to a Batman the Animated Series style DC thing in live action form. And I say that as a good thing. I love how stylized this thing is. I love the adaptation of Harley Quinn and the Joker. I'm one of the few people who honestly... Echo. Jacob,
you got an echo.
Why don't I hear anything? I don't have an echo.
Yeah, you
Well,
do.
we can hear ourselves coming on your side.
There.
All right.
Alright. Okay, we're good. Go ahead.
Okay, so like I said, it's just I really love the stylized nature of this. It's so much better than Batman vs Superman or Man of Steel. I can't even tell you guys. Like, it's like night and day. I honestly think this movie makes the Zack Snyder movies look embarrassing by comparison. I don't understand how this movie has such a low Rotten Tomato score. I really don't. I'm close to loving this movie. I'm close to liking this movie as much as I like Guardians of the Galaxy the first time I saw it.
Well, that's a little much.
I'm close to it. That being said, there's definitely some problems with it. It's not as perfect of a movie as Guardians of the Galaxy by any stretch of the imagination, for sure, no doubt about it. The main issue I have with this movie comes down to the editing, and it comes down to the fact that, really, at the end of the day, I remember a lot of the performances, I remember a lot of the key story sequences. A lot of the film itself kind of blends together for me, and I don't mean that in a good way. It just kind of like, it all feels like a wash at the end of the day. Having said that, it's a really, I don't know. Dragon, do you agree? Tell me I'm not being crazy with the closest we've ever come to Batman the Animated Series.
Well, Tiki,
I'm being crazy.
No, I think here's the thing, D. I think you should phrase it the DC animated universe. You're kind of close in that. It's not Batman the Animated Series by any stretch, but it's kind of like the camaraderie and kind of the fun atmosphere does feel a little bit like your DC animated universe.
Okay, I'll take it. Sure, DC animated.
And, I mean, Harley is on the money though. Harley's on the money. Just everything else, I can't quite. We'll put it into Batman the Animated Series specifically, but at DC Animated Universe, I might give you a little bit of rope on that one.
All right, well, that's just kind of retract my statement. It feels very much like something that's in the DC Animated Universe, just tone-wise, the way the characters interact with each other, even down to the way that the Joker is introduced into the plot. We're going to talk about the Joker, but just really, really quick, a lot of people have a problem with that. The Joker's only in like 15 minutes of this movie. I honestly think that was a stroke of genius. I think it feels like just like a storyline that you'd see the Joker have in an episode of the animated series to a certain extent, where he's not necessarily a main villain. He's just kind of fucking around with the heroes. And I honestly really think that the Joker kind of serves a Hannibal Lecter-style role in this movie where, yeah, he's not the main villain, but he definitely leaves a big impact. So I'm very positive on this movie, with the exception of the editing, and I do grant that the editing is this movie's big Achilles heel. The editing is this movie's, like, super low point for me. Okay, anyways, Dragon, go ahead.
Well, when it comes to this movie, let me say this. Going into this film, we all, just in general, summarizing our expectations. You know, we were very hopeful for this film. Again, we watched Sultan Arkham, and I've said before that's my barometer for this film. Sultan Arkham, to me, is the perfect representation of the Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad. It's a fantastic film. Basically, if that movie was, if the Suicide Squad movie we're watching now was half as good as Sultan Arkham, we're still going to be in good shape. And I think we're in good shape because I think it's half as good as Sultan Arkham.
About half as good. I'll agree to that measure. I'll agree with that measurement.
Yeah, specifically, I mean, I think this film was good. I think, but I'm reserving a lot of judgment. I'll get to that, especially as we go throughout. But I'm reserving a lot of judgment because I hear with the edits, Tiki, the edits were the kryptonite to this film in a big way.
Absolutely, and I totally agree with that for sure.
So with that, I'm in a really interesting place with this film. I still think it's good. I think it's rewatchable. It's a lot of fun. It's definitely what the DC Cinematic Universe needed. It's a big step in the right direction. However,
I'm way more looking forward to going back and rewatching this movie again than I am to fucking sitting through 3 hours of the Batman vs Superman.
But speaking of the 3 hours, let me preface this. The word is that David Ayers, he said that there will be a 3-hour R-rated director's cut. The film was intended to be that. It's not like a forced thing like Batman v Superman. This is actually like an intended thing where it was. There's a lot of Joker. Specifically, so there was some Joker stuff that was taken out. I'm not saying it's going to be like all Joker. I'm just saying there was some key Joker stuff that we saw in the trailers that like the whole thing with his scarred face and like saying bye bye. We're missing that.
I can't wait to show you how I got these toys.
Yeah, like that thing. I'm saying, like, so you can tell there definitely some Joker stuff was taken out. I'm gonna get into that when we get to the Joker, my thoughts on. But my point is, overall, film was good. I think I sense it might have been great had we had all that stuff in there. Also, there might, again, R-rated, so there might have been some more violence, like the head blowing. It might have looked a little more spectacular, but we'll get into that. Point is, overall, I'm positive on this film. I'm just, and again, it's so funny going to this movie because we heard people giving their reviews after they had like some test screenings. Some people were saying, "Oh my God, it's amazing! You're gonna love it." And then like the week of, I'm hearing like all this negative, like, "Oh, the petitions against Rotten Tomatoes, everyone's coming down." I was like, "How?"
I don't even want to address that whole thing because if I do, I'll just get into like a soapbox style rant. So I just
you see what I mean. Going into the film though, you have this. I was in the kind of this interesting place. Like I can't trust anyone. I'm just gonna go in this film and go for it. I can't trust
anyone based on fucking these DC movies in general, man.
Because I'm hearing. Jeremy Johns is giving it a good review, and he's getting a lot of crap for it. I'm hearing this is like in an upward. My point is just like going into it. I can't trust anyone. I'm going to go in, enjoy it for what it is, see what it is. And again, I told you my barometer. It's half as good as Sultan Arkham, and I got my wish, so it was a good film overall. Okay.
All right, Jacob.
I obviously haven't watched Assault on Arkham, so I can't base it on that.
Okay.
So pointing that out right up front, and I didn't watch that.
Not everyone did.
But I do know of the basic concept of the Suicide Squad.
Very good.
And I've read a few things about them. I don't think I've ever read any comics about them, but after seeing this, it definitely makes me want to look into them more.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, but I went in with expectations, like I said, like you guys. I'm one of the ones that actually wasn't too harsh on Batman vs. Superman. I said, I'll be the first.
Like I said, it's like we did have our negative things to say about it, but even we were like more kind to Batman versus Superman than most people were.
Believe me.
I want to stress that. Like I gave it a solid 6.5 out of 10 when I walked out of it. All right.
Yeah, like I said, I'm one of the few people that I don't know if even people in my theater liked it, but I did. So, going that I was like, I wasn't disappointed. Let's just say, I wasn't disappointed by Batman vs. Superman. I wasn't disappointed by this.
Okay.
It definitely lived up to lived up to most expectations presented by the trailers and various other marketing outlets. Some it failed to live up to, but I'll address that in my further statements. But overall, I'd say this is a very enjoyable movie. It's just a very good action flick. Definitely not your usual superhero flair, which I really appreciate. Like the dynamics of the characters, they bounce really well off of each other, like an evil Avengers kind of thing. So, I really liked that aspect of it. I thought it was a well-made movie. Like I said, sometimes the editing and sometimes the action was kind of blurred. I mean, I'm not talking about the fog scene at the end. That kind of makes sense, but sometimes the action just seemed like a bit too close, if you know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Especially when the villains all kind of blend into the backgrounds. It's kind of the problem you have with that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, all the soldiers, they kind of blend into the background.
Yeah, that's kind of one of my issues. Like I said, sometimes like the action was filmed like way too close to the actors. I didn't have time to really appreciate it. Like sometimes you can tell like scenes are just cut right out of there. Like by the way their expressions changed and everything like that. I saw some of that.
That's like I think we can all agree that's the worst part of the movie is because it's like it's very, very obvious like where things ended up on the cutting room floor, and there's no real finesse to anything that they do in terms of the transitions or anything like that, which is a shame because I feel like this movie has so much style going for it, and if they would have just had better editing, like, I can't wait to see the 3-hour cut of this. I'm not dreading it like I am Batman versus Superman.
But let me tell you this, though. Actually, I want to shed some light on something really important, though. I think the main reason that we have the film in its shape it's in with all the edits, and why we have that 3-hour R-rated cut on the way, is because this film was in production. It sounds like this film was in production. I know. Sorry, I know for a fact it was in production before the Deadpool movie. Well, before it actually got traction, I mean, because Deadpool was in the works for a long, long time. My point is, this film was in development before then. Basically, it was kind of in a place before Deadpool kind of changed kind of the people having more faith in the R-rated superhero film. That's probably why they couldn't get they wanted the R rating, but the studio wouldn't okay it. And versus something like Deadpool, where they okayed the R rating, you saw how that turned out.
All right. Well, technically the studio really didn't intervene with that. It was completely David Ayer's idea.
I mean, I remember you, Dragon. I remember you and I before the official rating came out. We were kind of speculating if this would get an R or not. I was crossing my fingers it would get.
But
an R.
like I heard, like David Ayer made an R-rated film. Basically, it's again we're gonna have an R-rated film that's gonna be on a director's cut at some point. So I'm just saying, he shot an R-rated movie.
I really don't want DC to make a habit out of this.
I know, like
if
for
DC
example,
makes a habit out of this, then it's basically going to render their theatrical cuts of movies irrelevant.
Like I'll point out, like the Batman movie Superman, that really doesn't need to be rated R at all because there's only one curse word, and that's about the only reason it's rated R.
Oh God!
I swear to you, that was the only reason it's rated R because there's one F-bomb drop. And again, PG-13 movies usually get one F-bomb, and it's a completely out of place F-bomb too.
Oh God! Oh God! Okay, I think we should kind of transition into some of the background and premise.
Can I finish?
Let him finish.
Yeah, sure.
Overall, I would say probably other than Man of Steel, probably the best DC extended universe movie so far.
I might tongue on Man of Steel, but that's okay.
Well, I mean, I also technically, but I'd probably say it's still the best one so far.
Okay, cool. All right, so Dragon, you got some background?
Yeah, very minimal. Just this film was in development since 2009. After the DC cinematic, or I guess the DC extended universe.
That's what it is. It's the extended universe. Yes.
Yeah, I keep saying cinematic, but then I realize the abbreviation is DCCU.
Mm-hmm.
So the point is the DC extended universe. Since after the DC extended universe took shape, David Ayer was attached to write and direct the film. He also wrote this film. That's probably important. And basically, all the scrutiny and attention fell on this project after Batman v Superman dropped the ball. And basically, after that, that's why there was so much kind of hype and anticipation, all this controversy in terms of the reception, everything coming out, all because like all the attention falls on this film that kind of pick up the slack of the big DCEU film that really was supposed to kind of shape the whole cinematic universe earlier this year. So that's pretty much all the background. Okay,
cool. So I'm going to do this kind of in a TV show style. Do you want to give a rundown of the plot in my, I'll cue you and my girl to cue?
Well, not yet. Let me go through the premise to familiarize people, then cue me with the plot. Alright, so, folks, the premise that is established in this film for the Suicide Squad, because we've gone over this in the Assault and Arkham thing, let's just go specify for what's established in the movie of the Suicide Squad's premise, is that in the wake of Superman's passing, to contend with an evil Superman should one arise in the future, Amanda Waller convinces the government to okay Task Force X. Task Force X is a group of supercriminals with nanite bombs injected in their necks, compelling them to work together on covert missions to battle extraordinary threats. That's the premise of the Suicide Squad, folks.
Okay, and to get us up to speed on where we are with the plot, previously on Suicide Squad.
Okay, here are the cliff notes, folks. Amanda Waller assembles the team, including the Enchantress. The Enchantress, who's not controlled by a bomb, but a voodoo heart thing in Amanda Waller's possession.
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
Enchantress frees, by some means of events, Enchantress frees her brother, Incubus, to steal back her heart and, I guess, destroy the world, because, again, we're still a little vague on like, the whole world destruction thing, but we'll see. Waller sends the squad on a extraction mission in Midway City. Joker, meanwhile, is tracking Harley down, be reunited with his poo and her with her pudding. So the squad discovers after they battle a whole bunch of kind of weird magical soldiers. The squad discovers they are extracting Waller, who's brutally covering up her involvement. Joker throws a wrench in the extraction and seemingly dies. Seemingly.
I just want to point out that was one of the things that most reminded me of a DC animated thing, is the Joker seemingly dying.
Well, that's in general. Joker always seemingly dies. Since his first appearance. Anyway, so then this leads to Waller being in the Enchantress's possession, which means she has her little voodoo heart thing, and this also leads to a ticked-off Suicide Squad learning Rick Flags, and basically learning Rick Flags in love with Enchantress's alter ego, Dr. Moon, and this also leads them to band together to save the day, but in the end, Waller lives and puts them back in prison, but with benefits, and Joker returns to Spring Harley, and that's the movie in a nutshell.
Okay, so let's go character by character, because I think that's just, obviously, this is an ensemble piece. So let's start with the big man himself, Mr. Deadshot. All right, so just really quick, Dragon, I know you're a big fan of the character. I think the one thing I can really commend Deadshot for is he's definitely a lead in this film, but this doesn't feel like the traditional Will Smith vehicle where Will Smith is just like, hey, give me all the cool lines, give me all the football stuff. You know, it's like, it's very much an understated Will Smith performance. He's super likable. He's still got that Will Smith charisma, but I think this is like a more mature Will Smith than we saw on stuff like, you know, like a Hancock, for example. This is kind of a wizened Will Smith, and I really like that about it. So go ahead.
Yeah. This, Deadshot in this, I was worried about Will Smith initially because I was afraid we might get like another After Earth performance, but thankfully, it was not the case. He was doing he did a very good job in this film. My only nitpicks with him, because I love his characters, these two very surface level nitpicks that still bug me just because little fanboy gripes. Just the eyepiece is on the wrong eye. It just seems like such a random thing to get wrong. Every other version of Deadshot, constantly the eyepiece is on the other eye. And he has both eyes slit. I'm just wondering why is it on the wrong eye? It's so apparent. But anyway, it's not important. Also, like, I'm not crazy about the beard either, because it's like you look at Will Smith in any of the other films he's done. He has like hair on his head, and he doesn't have any beard on the face, and that just never in his history had a beard. And it's like a goatee, but never a beard. I was wondering why a beard and no hair on top. I don't know. It's two very minor surface level things. My point is, Deadshot aside from that, he was absolutely fantastic in this film. He was very fun. He demonstrated kind of the cynical, smart mouth with great skill, very well. That's Deadshot to a T, as you saw in the Assault on Arkham animated movie, for those who've seen it. Again, they really showcased, I'm so glad they got this in there. I was worried that this might be a little sidelined back when they revealed the first trailers for this, that they really showcased Deadshot's soft spot for his daughter Zoe very
absolutely. Well. Yeah.
Some of my favorite moments of the film revolve around that.
I would venture to say they did that almost, if not equally, as well as they did on Assault on Arkham.
That is fair, yes. I mean, the Zoe Lawton stuff was great. Again, the costume also, again, aside from my little gripes, the costume did look really great, and I love they give him the arm-mounted guns and everything. And I thought he was a great leader for the squad. And it makes sense he's the leader because he has the most experience in kind of killing for a living. Just kind of being like not a soldier, but kind of a soldier for hire.
Sure.
And again, I loved his dynamic with Flag, and that it's don't get me wrong, he usually is cantankerous with Captain Boomerang, Tiki, but it's just I assume in future films they're going to highlight that a little bit more, perhaps. But point is, like, Deadshot's cantankerous with someone on team who thinks they're in charge, and Deadshot's the one who's always in charge. You know, it's like Rick Flag thinks he's in charge. Deadshot, you know, he actually knows, okay, this guy doesn't know anything that's going on either.
Okay.
And, you know, Deadshot is very likable, very charismatic. Love him.
Jacob, thoughts on Deadshot?
Can't really top with Dragons. Then I really liked Will Smith's performance as the character. It seemed like he was almost born to play one of his roles. I wouldn't say it's a defining role for Will Smith, but it's no Agent J or anything like that.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't say, well, or even his character in Pursuit of Happiness, but I'd say this is like a very like he fit into the role very well. It seemed like he had fun playing it. It seemed like he did a very good job as I was surprised at how well he did at this.
Yeah.
I would say this is a good step in the right direction for a more mature and hardened Will Smith after stuff like After Earth, because Will Smith really did kind of lose his way for quite a while there. So I'm happy to see him back on top again. All right. So anyways, let's transition into. I'm sorry, Jacob. Dragon, do you have anything else?
Oh yeah, one last thing I just want to mention. The thing I was super impressed by with Zoe Lawton is I love that she was aware of her father's job and loved him regardless.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was so sweet, so endearing. Anyway, moving on.
Okay, so let's get to the main leading lady of the film, Mrs. Harleen Quinzel.
Yeah.
Okay, just really quick, I've heard complaints that it's basically a Tara Strong impression, and yeah, I can see that to a certain extent, but I think there's...
Okay, let me just say this. If they're saying it's a Tara Strong impression, then it's also an Arlene Sorkin impression.
Well,
yes.
of course, yeah.
Because Tara Strong is basically impersonating Arlene Sorkin.
No, you're right, Jacob. You're right. But I think there's just enough kind of that Margot Robbie adds to the character where it doesn't feel like Harley lifted directly out of the animated series. I did think maybe they did kind of give her a little too many, like, straight lanes. Like, I don't know, maybe she said put in one or two times too many. That's a very minor nitpick. I was disappointed in Harley's costumes. Granted, I love that we got to see the classic jumpsuit, but just I heard that like somewhere in the initial cut there that supposedly Harley had like 8 costume changes at one point. Like that's one of the things I remember hearing.
I think you might have misconstrued that. From what I've heard, it's like, you know, they went through all sorts of every Harley Quinn costume to kind of figure out the right one. So they basically went as from page to screen as they could on various costumes. They settled on this one.
Fair enough. Well, I just don't like the look, really. I'm not a big fan of the look. Having said that, I think they got her dynamic with the Joker absolutely spot on. I think that the Joker dynamic with Harley Quinn, like I said, I love the fact that the Joker isn't the main villain in the movie. I will defend that choice to the death. I think that was an inspired choice on David Ayer's part. I totally think it evokes Hannibal Lecter for sure. And like I said, I just think really, really flawlessly pulled off, in my personal opinion. I know a lot of people have problems with it, but I think Harley was definitely one of the better parts of the movie for sure. Jacob, go ahead.
And my point is about the costume. I'm kind of glad they didn't go with the jumpsuit for this movie because that would seem even. I mean, that suits better in like comics and animation than a live action movie.
I just don't like the short shorts. I agree with you about the jumpsuit. It would have felt a little odd out of place, but I just don't like the short shorts. I thought they overly sexualized her, which I get it. It's like, yeah, Harley Quinn, freaking. I don't know. Harley Quinn turned into such like a cosplay icon that I feel like the over-sexualization is just part of her character when it really shouldn't be that dominant of a part of her character. Anyways, I digress.
Well, they didn't really make a big deal about it in the movie, so it's not really a major complaint.
I thought there were some lingering shots that they probably couldn't talk about. But
well, yeah, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. I'm not saying like she didn't rely on it and all that. That's
no, you're right. You're right.
So that's right. That's what I have to say about that. Like I said, I'm glad they didn't go with the Jester jumpsuit because even that would be out of place in this movie.
I'm glad we got to see it though.
Yeah, that was a nice touch.
All right, Dragon.
But I did like her dynamic with the Joker and the other characters. I mean, she even got a bit of good times with Deadshot even.
Yeah, she did have a good dynamic. Yeah.
She and Deadshot even had a pretty good camaraderie going on. Margot, like I said again, very good casting on their part. I think they found one of the perfect lady to leave a live-action Harley Quinn. Even Paul Dini thought so, too.
Oh, yes, he did. Yes.
And
Anyway,
he's the, I mean, if anyone's the authority on Harley Quinn, it's him.
true. Anyway, yeah, I thought Moira did an excellent job as Harley Quinn. Again, I don't really see the Tara Strong thing. I mean, I think she just kind of embodies. Again, everyone does it. Basically, Arlene Sorkin is Harley Quinn. That's pretty much you think of Harley Quinn. You say that's the one you're going for. So basically, sounding like kind of any version of that is like is doing the character right. I mean, basically, she embodies character. It's her own thing, but also you see kind of the classic Harley Quinn in there, of course. Like kind of.
My whole point is that I've heard people complain that it's basically an imitation, and I don't. I think there's enough to it that it's not necessarily an imitation.
Yeah, I don't really see the terrorists. Again, I know kind of the myriads of different horror performances. I don't really see any terrorists.
That's why I bring up they complain about Margot Robbie imitating Tara Strong. There's a complaint about Tara Strong imitating Arlene Sorkin.
Yeah. So I thought Harley was a blast in this film. She was a lot of fun. She has some great one-liners here and there. Like she's like trying to buddy up with Katana on the planes. And what is that? Yeah, basically like a perfume. I love that perfume you're wearing. What is it? Scent of death? It's like she has these cute little one-liners and they're really funny. Again, she really embodies a character. I like that you had the thing of you question Harley's loyalty constantly, whether it's with her agenda with the Joker and like how much of basically she can switch sides at times. You're not quite sure of which side she's on. Again, basically it seems like she might sell the team at one point to save Joker. Towards the end, I guys love you keep questioning her loyalty there, but again, you get to see her really befriend the squad at the same time, and I love this. And this is a really great idea in the movie. And the idea that she is really kind of the linchpin that brings the squad together. They all kind of buddy up to each other over her. I mean, it's all over Harley's when they really kind of befriend each other and get on the same page. Without them, think of it, she's the bartender at the bar. She's the one she's somewhat the glue. And when they think Harley might have bit the dust, they're all really kind of bummed out. And they welcome her back with open arms. It's like a lot of really good stuff. And also, I like that they also showcase. And we got a taste of this in Assault on Arkham, by the way, too. We got to see her very dangerous and very unpredictable. Like in her cell, she's constantly trying to escape violently with the guards. And again, I think with kind of the sexualization of Harley Quinn, I like that they do kind of address in the beginning there, like the guard is flirting with her. He's the guard who's kind of bullies all the inmates at Bel Rev.
Sure.
It's just the fact they're aware of they keep calling her crazy. They're kind of keeping it in check of she's attractive, but she's crazy, guys. Let's not forget character over attraction there. I think it's them kind of calling themselves in that. Anyway, the last thing I'll say about Harley is, again, overall, I think I love that she is the crazy voice of reason, reminding the squad, again, with that hilarious line, Afghani is always words, we're bad guys. It's what we do. She reminds them, we're bad guys. And also, the very thing that seems very natural for Harley Quinn to say is, own up to your mistakes. I mean, yes, we made bad choices. Harley Quinn, of all people, has made bad choices. She's with the Joker, so she knows, well, there's no changing what you did. You got to accept that lifestyle. You can't really, it's not just regretting what you've done. You got to own it. That's happened, so you got to move on with your life. But you still have to. That is a part of you, at your core.
Of course.
Yeah. Anyway, so Harley, she really did for me. She's probably stand out of the film. Okay,
let's get to Rick Flag. And honestly, this guy's been taking a lot of heat. I thought he was really good. I honestly thought. Dragon, you mentioned the Deadpool dynamic. I thought the Deadpool dynamic between him and Rick Flag, I almost kind of forgot that.
Deadshot.
Deadshot. Sorry.
I was like, what the hell are you talking about?
I would like to see that, though.
I have this slideshow when I have a Deadpool and Harley Quinn thing on the slideshow, so Freudian slip. I apologize. Okay, but
so Deadshot and Rick Flag.
Yeah, I just really like their dynamic. I think Deadshot. One of the things that really surprised me about Deadshot, Rick Flag, was his relationship with. I'm sorry, I don't know off the top of my head the character, but in
Floyd Law.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the girl?
Enchantress.
Yeah.
June Moon.
Yeah, Dr. Moon.
Right. I thought that was really surprising. I honestly thought the Enchantress stuff, for the most part, worked for me, except for the third act. And the third act, of course, I have the same complaints everyone has about the third act. But no, Rick Flag. I mean, the one complaint I hear about his performance is that his Texas accent kind of slips in and out. Yeah, I get that a little bit, but I like the way the character was written. You know who the character reminds me of? He kind of reminds me of the nanny character from the first Hellboy movie. where I could see him just being completely written out of the sequel, and the sequel kind of concentrating more on the Boomerang and Deadshot dynamic. But for this film, for kind of introducing us to the Suicide Squad, he does work well as the babysitter, and I thought he was a nice presence. I actually really appreciated him, surprisingly.
Well, I thought Flag was solid, and I'm familiar with Rick Flag. Again, I told you many times on the Suicide, especially in the Justice League animated show, the one episode they had about the Suicide Squad. He was on there. He was like he leads the team. And again, he's like pretty much the same. They were accurate to Rick Flag, and he's appeared in other things like also like Justice League New Frontier. Point is again, being kind of like the guy who thinks he's in charge, guy you're right, he relegated to the babysitter team. He is. That's what he is. He's the one guy without a bomb in his neck who works usually. And I was surprised by this. Usually Rick Flag's like he thinks the world of Amanda Waller. Like he tables his feelings for Waller. Like he doesn't say like he does in the movie. Like I really don't like. I can't believe the rumors are true.
Right.
Because usually he just says, well, he doesn't question Amanda Waller, just he's kind of the lapdog to Amanda Waller. But here, though, they actually give him some layers of like, man, you were really ruthless, and I love that kind of feeds the dynamics so well between him and Lawton. It's kind of a journey that Rick Flag goes through an interesting journey in this film. Is that his fun dynamic?
He does.
It's that he kind of learns that like our dumb bell rev guard just bullying the inmates necessarily. He realizes you write them off as okay, these guys are scumbags and psychopaths, but through the course of the film he realizes, oh my god, no, they're not they're not as bad as I thought. I mean, they're actually human beings, especially with Deadshot. And he sees that through him, and again, it's so fun buddy-buddying that they realize, oh my god, we're both terrified of Amanda Waller.
Exactly.
And it's
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I really do think that Rick Flag is kind of an underappreciated element of what makes this movie's kind of like the whole like surrogate family theme work as well as it does, is that whole element of Rick Flag being the outside kind of eye into it. Okay.
And one last thing I want to mention with Rick Flag is that I like, some people give him the crap for this in the story, and I like the idea that he's just a guy trying to save the woman he loves, and he's working with the crazies to do it, and he ends up kind of making friends along the way and saving the girl. It all works out for Rick Flag. Again, it's like his journey of kind of learning. There's basically he represents the audience that we're learning. There's more to these guys than just kind of their surface, their surface personas. And again, the fact that it just boils into a love story between him and Enchantress. And again, that also shows kind of the cruelty on Amanda Waller's side. It's her manipulation of Rick Flag to make him fall in love with this woman, and that's kind of the driving force of the film. She's responsible for more than one thing in this film.
All right, Jacob, anything on Flag?
Yeah, for Flag, with that, like I said, I like what you guys said. He's a very interesting character. Like, it's kind of like he's more of the everyman of the group, which isn't saying much. But I mean, compared to the rest of the Suicide Squad, he's actually more relatively the most normal guy of the group.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, he's definitely not that he's an everyman, but he's of this group. He's definitely the everyman.
Yeah, and I personally hope they bring him back in future films, because again, I just love that last moments between him and Deadshot really make me want to see him in a sequel.
I could honestly see him being involved in the DC Extended Universe, like, further beyond the Suicide Squad. But like I said, the only reason why I would write him out of a sequel, or at least give him a minimized part in the sequel, is just because I feel like we need that Boomerang and Deadshot dynamic. I really want to see that.
No, I mean, sure. I'm just saying, like, keep him some role of some kinds. I want to see him appearing because they had really nice moments together. It's like a little callback to it,
Okay.
All
Jacob,
right.
anything else?
Well, like I said, he's a very well written character. I liked his dynamics with all the characters. Like, since he's the everyman, he kind of has a good dynamic with all the, like, bounces well off the characters. Like, he actually gets them to move on, and along with Harley, he's the one who helps motivate them and get them back into the fight. They wouldn't be the Suicide Squad without him.
Okay. So let's transition to. I'm sorry, Jake. I'm sorry.
He was a very good part.
Okay, let's transition to Captain Boomerang, who, like I said, it's like, if there is one reason I would memorize Rick Flag's part, is to give this guy more screen time, because every time this guy is on screen, it's delightful. He's absolutely, like, totally energetic, and it's unfortunate that he's basically a background character.
But he's a lot of fun, though.
He's a lot of fun, but he's still, like, a minimal, like, background supporting character.
Yeah, I mean, he's cool. He really keeps with kind of the unique kind of Flash rogue. He really does. Like, the guy's out there, and it really shows. Aside from throwing boomerangs, the guy's really quirky. He drinks constantly. He's he drinks and he steals constantly. He carries around pink unicorns. He does all this sorts of crazy stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So, he has some good one-liners too. I think again, I like that in the beginning they really kind of set up that initially he doesn't play well with others, and I tell you, they subvert this a little. I do like this subversion in exchange for getting the Deadshot flag dynamic. You have a good dynamic between Boomerang and Deadshot in a different way, which I think could get to the classic way in a sequel. But still, it's fine the way it is because I like that. Again, you're expecting, as you see with Slipknot early on, is that Boomerang's really likes to mess with people. And
Right.
he's really not a guy you want to have on your team, but through the course of the film, but he actually, he does what Deadshot says, and they have some really good moments together. It's like a really nice moment in the film the two characters share with each other over Harley. And the point is, showing that Ken Boomerang, he doesn't think Deadshot's a bad guy at all. He actually has a little bit of a grudging respect for him, but still, he has his own agenda, and his main agenda is to desperately get out of prison.
I don't know. It's like Jai Courtney is kind of become a punching bag.
He has. I mean, this is the first good movie I've seen him in.
Right. But he's so lively in this. Like, this is like the role he was born to play.
Yeah.
Also, he's a natural Australian, so he gets to let his Aussie flag fly, which is nice.
For the first time, I think. I don't think he's ever played his natural accent.
Jacob, anything on Boomerang?
10 years of a 3-life sentence. 3-life sentence. I admit I see his point there. 10 years of a 3-life sentence really doesn't mean much.
Oh, yeah.
One last thing I want to mention. I'm sorry, Joe, go on. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Again, like I said, it's a shame he was that's a small character. That's more of a background character. But again, I keep bringing up dynamics, but the movie just has a lot of good dynamics to it. So, I can see why he wasn't in more of it, but on the same token, I want to see him in more. So maybe in Suicide Squad 2, we can see him really shine.
Okay. All right, Dragon.
Yeah, I just want to mention, I love there's this great subtle arc to Boomerang's thing. It might kind of bode well for the future Flash films. I really love this idea that they set up here is that again, he's not a team, he doesn't play well with others, but through the course of this film, he bonds with the Suicide Squad. So that suggests that future things Captain Boomerang, that might lead to him teaming up, forming the classic kind of the rogue Flash's bad guys teaming up with each other and befriending each other.
Right, yeah, that's a good point.
I'm really excited about that. I love that idea. Now he's a little more sociable, which means he can lead to a lot of rogue team ups, which would be hilarious. And
I'd love to see him as like a major or at least a supporting villain in a main Flash movie. That'd be fantastic.
That'd be great.
Okay. So let's transition to, I think, probably unanimously the biggest surprise in the movie, which is El Diablo. This guy got virtually no attention at all in the marketing outside of the whole Will Smith, oh, I'm just trying to pump you up, man. I'm just trying to pump you up. That was like the one moment that guy ever got in the marketing. And this guy is, I'm sorry, I'm trying to stay away from the Guardians of the Galaxy comparisons, but this guy is totally the Drax.
Yeah, he is pretty much Drax. But it's good. It's different than Drax, but
it is. You're right. It's much less comedic than Drax.
Basically, El Diablo's role in this. By the way, just so you know, he was like one of the Harley Quinn additions to the Suicide Squad. He was like of the New 52 variety. Like that's when he really kind of was. They reinvented the character and they put him on the Suicide Squad. And I don't know how similar it is to the movie version. I really love the movie version where he's in this he is the heart of the Suicide Squad in many capacities.
Surprisingly, yes.
Yeah, and he regrets his actions deeply, and I just love from the get-go. They mentioned he's a pacifist, the guy with the most destructive power. He's a pacifist initially, and of course he's a really sad backstory. I won't get into too much right now. Let's just say overall, it's like the broad strokes is a sad backstory. He's of someone born with this dangerous power who eventually kind of becomes a powerful crime boss in the process. He kind of destroys everything around him, and he represents represents this great moral center and the representation. He's such a wonderful character-based representation of how the squad isn't all bad. It's not all black and white. These guys have a lot of gray in between, and that's why we can root for these guys because we're seeing beneath the villainous surface that we either know them or assume them to be. Like again, characters like Rick Flag or your Bell Rev guards just assume. It's like again, there's a lot of layers there, and that El Diablo represents us better than anyone.
Absolutely. Jacob?
Well, I definitely have to agree with Dragon on what he said. Better than anyone else, really. He probably has the most tragic backstory of...
Oh, without a doubt.
Well, that we've seen at least. I mean, we got glimpses at the other ones. He's really the only major backstory really went in-depth into.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we got a brief glimpse at others, but his is definitely the most tragic of them. I mean, like, seems like he was actually just before just a normal guy, but then amassed this great power. I mean, like, absolute power corrupts absolutely, and that's what it did to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I mean, once he gained great power, it absolutely, like, basically just ruined his life.
Oh yeah.
And then I think when he realizes that he can use his powers to help the squad, I mean, that's his chance to, like, say, I have a family again. Like,
Oh yeah.
like he said at the end, like, I already lost one family. I don't want to lose another one.
That is
was
such a great
That was
moment for El Diablo. It's so great.
So yeah, I mean, like, he's definitely if the others are the heart, he's definitely like the one that's like drives it home as like this is a family, like a family of people who have done things in their past, trying to not necessarily trying to atone for what they've done, but trying to do some good for once.
I really love how El Diablo, like, when you look at him just on face value, he totally just seems like a, like he's got all those tattoos and everything, and you're like, oh man, that guy's like a really hardened criminal. But at the end of the day, he's like the biggest family man out of all the Suicide Squad, besides maybe Deadshot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, it was
And
really
in that
sad.
regard,
It's really sad what happened to his whole backstory is kind of sad. I don't know if that's.
Well, save that, Jacob. We have.
save that for a little
Yeah.
later.
Trust me, I'm saving it. That's why I didn't say anything. Like I said, I don't know if that's in tune with the comics or anything, because I haven't really followed his character before. But I would definitely say it's a very well done backstory.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but Sam, real quick, now I think about El Diablo, you're right with the whole Deadshot thing you mentioned. There's that he does really. He encapsulates all the Suicide Squad members in one capacity or another, and especially with Deadshot factored in there, I'm like, yeah, he's a little even more tragic than Deadshot's situation. Of course, he's looked at as a monster, like our next guy we're going to be talking about. It's like a whole bunch of stuff factored in there.
Oh yeah. Okay, so should we transition to the scaly one then?
Yeah.
All right, Killer Croc. I have been looking forward to seeing this Batman villain for a while, and like, he's virtually a cameo. He's definitely the Suicide Squad member, besides the one that gets killed off right away that has the least amount of screen time. But I really, really dug him. I love the actor. I love Adewale. That's the only part of his name I'm gonna.
He is folks, take our words for it. It's the most hard to pronounce name you've ever seen.
Absolutely, and trust me, I've been trying to pronounce his name since like he was on Lost in 2004. I love him. I mean, I think the effect. I'm not entirely sold on the look just yet. I wish it was a little more practical and less CG. Having said that, I totally dig all his movements. I love when when they're in the sewers and he's swimming around and stuff like that. I love the environments that they create for him. It's just, like I said, the only thing I really have to complain about is that he's like virtually a cameo in the movie. He has like maybe 3 major scenes, but I digress. It's still like I was happy to see the character on screen, and I thought the actor did it justice.
I'm not as high on Killer Croc, Tiki. I thought he looked cool. He served the role. He kind of served the role of muscle and kind of the friendly big guy to an extent. Like, I like that he didn't. I liked it that he conveyed a lot when he didn't speak. Like he was kind of like he looked imposing in times. He was kind of like the backup for the squad when they were kind of on the same page. It's just he had almost no development though. And aside from that one bit in the bar, it's like a line in the bar really doesn't really get a lot of depth. He just has a lot of generic lines. I mean, I love that he looks great. I think he looks great. I like the idea of Croc as a member of the team there. It's awesome. He's a Batman. You're right, Tiki. Batman villain realized like that after a long time, just kind of waiting. Mm-hmm. That's great. I just wish he was written better. And again, the performance too. I mean, the lines and the delivery of those specific lines. I'm not as high on him as I would like to be, and I think they also could have showcased, like, I get a sense, and again, this might, reserve a lot of judgment. This might be stuff that we might have been edited out to take with a grain of salt, but I think they could have showcased the whole monster perception more, like how, again, they see in the beginning little seeds of him being perceived as a monster. We don't see how he feels about any of that. That does bug me.
I totally get you. I mean, we get virtually no backstory on him at all, so.
Yeah, because Killer Croc does have kind of a, he was like basically a Batman Returns origin. He was flushed down the sewer as a kid.
Oh God, right.
Essentially, that's essentially either that or the circus freak origin. Pretty much both Batman Returns-esque origins.
Mm.
So points, Killer Croc was good. I think it could have been better. Then again, he might actually be better on the director's cut, so we'll see.
Okay, Jacob?
I kind of have to lean towards both of your guys' sides. Like, he was cool. I mean, cool concept. I mean, he's cool if you know his backstory, which I admit they could have gone to more than say he's Waylon Jones. He lives in the sewers and that's it. I mean, that's basically how the movie.
Yeah.
That's basically how the movie described him. His name is Waylon Jones. He's a monster, lives in the sewers. That's about it. I mean, I knew the backstory of Killer Croc both from from watching the animated series, the Lego Batman video game, and Arkham Asylum, which he really got cut down there too. I will throw that in there. So,
yeah, this really could have been his opportunity to shine. I mean, Assault on Arkham has King Shark. I'm not saying these are two very different characters, but in the capacity of kind of the big lovable character, you could have actually fallen in love with Killer Croc. It's like, he's perceived instantly. Again, he represents the Squad in a great way too. He's perceived as menacing villain, but again, he has those moments we do get there, like little bits in the bar and stuff, just like shows that he's more than just what people think of him. We should root for this guy more, but we don't have enough time to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, I win with that. Now that I went with Dragon's side, I'm gonna go with Tiki's side and say when he was there, he was definitely well worth the limited time he was in there. Despite everything, he was definitely well worth it. I mean, they could have fleshed him out a bit more. I'll give him that. Fleshed out his scaly skin a bit more, but I'm not complaining. I'm not one to complain about special effects, so I'm not gonna say anything like that. So it wasn't really that obvious. I mean, it looked good enough. It looked good enough to me. So
okay.
But what I'm saying is
the effect itself looks bad. I'm not crazy about the design.
Well, I understand. I think they're trying to go for more realistic kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess. Right. And I'm just more used to kind of like the animated series version of Croc.
Like, at least he looks like a Croc here.
Mm-hmm.
The animated series, he's just like a tall gray man.
Yeah, but he had the crocodile-like face. But
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The crocodile face. That's the main thing that I was missing.
Yeah, but okay.
Croc's a hard one to nail down because they run the risk of making him look too much like the lizard. They gotta make him.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Well, okay, back to what I was saying about Killer Croc. I said when he was there, he was definitely well worth it. I mean, like, he definitely had some of the coolest killing scenes in the movie. That was definitely for sure.
Oh yeah.
His importance in the way he dealt with enemies and dealt with the other squad. It was really cool. And speaking of Hannibal Lecter, they kind of treated him like him, wheeling him in and had a mask over him and everything. You're going to bring Hannibal Lecter into it. They kind of treated him like one.
Totally.
I tell you, something I really hope they edit out that we can see on the director's cut. I really want to see a scene of Batman taking down Killer Croc. I would love that. I want to see that so bad.
That would be.
I mean, we'll get to Batman, but I was that is one of my letdowns, is that I realized that Batman wasn't going to be in this movie much, but I was kind of surprised that he's really only in the first scene, and then that's it. He doesn't really, and then of course the post credits. But I digress.
All right, but
anyways,
I said, I could just say, as my closing statement for Killer Croc, I'm in between both of you guys.
Okay. Cool. All right, so let's get to Enchantress, who was probably I love her in the first act. I was really digging it, man. I thought, okay, this is great. This is the supernatural side of DC. It's genuinely creepy. It feels like a villain out of a horror movie or something. It honestly felt like something out of a James Wan movie, which is great because James Wan is directing Aquaman. So, I thought, oh man, this is great. And then, third act, this character completely fucking falls apart, and I don't know what the hell happened. Because they had such a goddamn good setup. It was genuinely creepy. They had the great emotional investment with Rick Flag, and they just blew it. They fucking blew it in the third act. The third act, the character becomes so silly and so fake-looking. But, having said that, like I said, I love the way this character started. The way this character started was one of the biggest genuine surprises for me. I was like, oh shit, okay, I didn't realize she was going to be the villain, but I can really get into that. Like I said, I was really into the supernatural side of DC, the James Wan thing, I was like, okay, but anyways, I'm going in circles. I loved her in the first act, hate her in the third act. Anyways.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like she's the second to Wonder Woman. She introduces magic into the DC EU. She has this. We see her teleporting ability in the beginning. Though I love the dynamic. She shares a body with Dr. Moon, which again puts Rick Flag in a very interesting position where he loves this woman. On one side is really he just can't. Like one side is the woman he loves, the other side is a Waller manipulated puppet. And again, they're both inhabiting the same body, which puts his life in conflict. And again, such an interesting circumstances in that regard. And also, importantly, Enchantress, she represents in a great way. She represents kind of the cruel level of control Waller has. We see her stabbing the little voodoo doll, like when Dr. Moon's begging. After she transforms back to Dr. Moon, saying, "Oh, Miss Waller, please don't do that to me. I can't do that again." It wigs her out when she is forced to do that, and it's like. Again, there's some great depth in the beginning. You're absolutely right, David. The first act seems like there's some really good stuff going on there.
I was so into it in the first act. I was so into
it. What's so great about the idea of her turning rogue, a Suicide Squad member, which she cannot put a bomb in because she's technically kind of a ghost magical thingy.
Exactly. Right.
So there's no way she can actually put a bomb in her. And the idea, Waller over-exercises her control, and that's what kind of turns into this big threat. Again, it's like the Waller, as much as she tries to help broadly with the Suicide Squad contingency. It is hurting a lot more than it's helping. It causes this huge thing that it kills. I mean, remember, it's killing a lot of people because it's turning people into these soldiers that the squad is incidentally killing. So Waller's causing a lot more damage. But again, I love it. She's such a great representation of what's wrong of an evil tool of Amanda Waller. So again, your heart goes out to Dr. Moon, but Enchantress, you're in conflict in that regard. But here's the problem, though. Here's where it all goes off the rails. Enchantress herself does not have any development, and again, Tiki, I think this might be self-directed. So if we just have some explanation to what our magic.
Right.
See, here's the thing. Let's also bridge this into including her brother into the equation. He has no character at all whatsoever. Incubus. So basically, she and Incubus.
Honestly, I didn't even remember that she had a brother.
So basically, she and Incubus, the big glowy yellow guy, the big glowy yellow guy.
Right.
The point is, the two of them suffer from the same thing. It's again, they don't have any development. I think just a line explaining of what kind of magic these guys are from. I know it's like, here's the thing. I can live with it in like the version we have now because again, the villain Incubus specifically, he's the threat that gets the Suicide Squad together, and we know it has ties to Rick Flag. That's all we really need to know. But still, it would have been better if we knew kind of what these guys are about. At least explain like the whole purpose behind this giant. A spiral in the middle of the thing that might destroy the world, might just destroy the town. I don't know. Sure. Yes, they're the powerhouses, and we have no understanding what they're about. And basically, the best description, the best comparison I have, and I think it summarizes what the problem with these two guys is to a T. They're the Malekith for DC so far. They're the Thor 2 bad guy, which we imposing and threatening and kind of cool in their powers.
I mean,
but we got.
I'll give them a step above Malekith just because I really love the. I really love the introduction to her. I'm going to give it a step above Malekith.
Yeah, I'm saying more so Incubus is definitely Malekith.
Incubus for sure. Incubus, yeah, absolutely.
Enchantress has a little, again, with the whole double personality thing, that's where she gets a little more interesting than Malekith. But again, it's the whole plot by proxy of two of them, that's where it kind of hits a Malekith territory where I have no idea why I'm invested in these characters.
Yeah, okay. All right, Jacob?
I kind of have to go with you guys again. Like I said, Enchantress was pretty cool even into the end. I thought she was a pretty interesting character. Once she got her power, she really didn't have any development after that. I will concede to that.
Well, let me ask you this.
They kind of relied on her coolness factor for that, so probably not the smartest move. But like I said, the whole introduction of her brother, like they didn't even realize like how important her brother was to him. It's just like, okay, I need you to be alive, so I have power. I mean, like that's basically the only reason why they introduced him. Like, I don't even. It's like I don't care about you. I'm happy you're alive. I'm happy you're alive, so I can have a weapon. That's a sense. I mean, and like I said, once Incubus becomes the big gold thing, he doesn't even talk at all. Like he talks more as the guy he possesses than as the thing he becomes.
You're right.
I mean, that's one that's if anything, if I have a major gripe of a movie, that would be it. That would be my major gripe for the movie. They didn't even say his name in the movie. I don't think.
I think they said it once,
weak.
and that was all. It's like only once.
Right,
if
right.
not even, they might not even have said that. I'm just saying people had to do some digging to find out the guy's name. By the way, so less the name, more the character at all. I had no idea who. I still barely any idea who this guy is. The point is, they pulled a really obscure villain from the comics who, at one point,
I don't think he even has a wiki page.
Oh,
that's
God.
the thing. I think at one point he appeared in the Suicide Squad comics, and they just figured, okay, well, we can probably use this guy.
Like
I hear he's on the. I hear Enchantress is on the money, so I hear like this guy might have. I don't know if he has ties to her, but I hear this guy is on the money for what he was in the obscure comics. That's what I hear. I can't verify that because I can't find anything on this nothing character.
Like I said, yeah. If they did say his name, I didn't hear it. I think I saw the word Incubus under Enchantress's associates. I think they said that in the text.
Right. Yeah. That's probably it. That's probably it.
I was like, oh, I wonder what Incubus.
Let me ask you this about Enchantress.
I was like, Incubus. I wonder what that is. So exactly.
Some eggs.
So yeah, but they never. I wonder who that is. But what I'm saying is, like, they never actually explicitly stated that her brother's name was Incubus.
Mm-hmm.
You're right, Jacob. You're right. They didn't explicitly say it. Now I think about it, it was just in text. That's about it.
Or what their importance is.
Yeah.
I mean, like, basically, they didn't show their relationship. It's like she wanted him to be alive, but only so she could build a weapon to get back at Waller.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yes.
Okay, I'm focusing too much more on Incubus than Enchantress herself.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys this: are you in favor of? I'm sorry. Go on. Sorry.
But I'll be more positive on this statement. I like the duality between her and Dr. Moon, though. Like the whole duality between them, that kind of going along with the whole fractured character thing. I really like that concept. I mean, it was a pretty clever idea. I mean, I actually hope we see more of the Enchantress later on. That would be cool. But I mean, and hopefully, so it doesn't come in between both, the risk of hurting Dr. Moon, though. I don't know. I mean, it'd be still pretty cool to see how that works out. I mean, but Enchantress did make for an interesting villain. They probably relied too much on her design and coolness points for a villain. I mean, even though her final scene, I'll admit, is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I will have to admit, they probably coasted on her coolness too much without giving her much reason for doing this, other than Waller. But I'd say she's a solid antagonist. But Incubus really just kind of pointless. Without doing it, she's basically his muscle bodyguard and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Without much reason to be there. Enchantress, good. Incubus, eh. Okay, Dragon, go ahead and let yours.
Yeah, so with the Enchantress stuff, just with the third act especially, because again, it seems to be the problem area of this film in general with all the edits and all, it's kind of the Enchantress stuff. Mainly the Enchantress stuff in the third act. Let me ask you this. What do you guys think of the happy ending, where basically Dr. Moon is alive inside the Enchantress body? You guys like the happy ending, or you think it should have ended with more tragedy?
I'm a little bit indifferent about it. I mean, on one hand, I kind of like that they keep the character open, but on the other hand, yeah, it could have ended with the death, and that would have been more impactful to Rick Flag.
Well, they could have at least explained how she survived.
Yeah, right.
I mean, like I said, I like the fact that they kept Dr. Moon alive and all, but like I said, they said, if I crush his heart, you will die. Like, that kind of implied that it would also kill Dr. Moon.
Yeah.
Because it's basically, they basically kind of, throughout the whole movie, basically implied one can't exist without the other.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's what I got.
Yeah. But, explanation or not, I like the hopeful ending, though.
I mean, like I said, I like the ending. They could have just explained how she survived better.
You're right.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
But she basically almost even said that Moon isn't here.
Right. That's exactly. But you know what it might be? It might just be kind of a thing they're just kind of writing off. Magic, no one gets it. Let's just give it up. Let's just give it up. It's like a voodoo thing. No one knows it's going to happen. She just might be saying it the hope that maybe they don't. Though again, she doesn't know herself probably. Again, it's like, no one's ever crushed her voodoo on her, perhaps. I don't know. Then again, she's thousands of years old. So Jacob, I think, definitely a point. They could use like a line or something to explain that.
The Once
I mean,
Upon a
like,
Time
once
writers
people-
ghost wrote that scene.
What?
I said the Once Upon a Time writers ghost wrote that scene.
The joke, they like their magic rules.
Oh, they love their magic rules. We've only seen one season of it. But
Just a one line saying like even a joke would have made that scene a bit better.
yeah.
But it's, I mean, if she not even an explanation, maybe like a small joke from Harley or Deadshot or something.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have elevated the scene, like made it even better. But I mean, like I like the hopeful ending and keeping her open, even hinting at the Enchantress's return. I mean, I do. Like I said, that's one thing I like. I want to see more of the Enchantress. She's awesome. And she'd be awesome as a hero too.
I think, yeah, exactly. I think it'd be interesting to explore her kind of like in the sequel being a hero. That would be a nice, or an anti-hero.
And how it kind of conflicts her role in this one.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I think we've seen all we need to see with the Enchantress. That's just my 2 cents on it. I see what you guys are saying.
Well, I think we could like show like Dr. Moon has more control over the Enchantress or something like that.
Yeah, like a Jekyll and Hyde thing almost. Right.
It seems pretty going for good, but I see what you're saying. That's fair.
Okay.
And I'm not saying it will be, but I'm just saying that'll be something I'd like to see.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's, if you don't mind, let's transition over to Katana, who, honestly, this was kind of my problem character. I thought that it's not necessarily that the character was bad, it's just that I could not give 2 shits about her if I tried. I don't know why, for some reason, the magic that I could buy into with Enchantress, for some reason, Katana just felt out of place. Like, she felt like she belonged in a different movie. And I don't know, maybe it's just me. I really, like, she doesn't get a ton of screen time. She doesn't get a ton of dialogue. I can't really grasp onto any personality she has. It's really, like, the only thing involved with her is just like, ooh, the mystical sword or whatever the fuck.
The
And
Soul Taker sword.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just didn't care. Again, I had a huge indifference to Katana, and she just did not feel like she even belonged in the movie to me.
Well, Tiki, I'll agree with you to a point. I'm going to say this. I enjoy Katana because I'm mainly familiar with the character. That's a big reason I probably enjoyed her.
That's probably a huge reason. Yeah.
But here's the thing. I will acknowledge that she could have been taken out of the equation. Wouldn't have really impacted the movie. I'll give you that. You're right. But I did like her for I like the role she served in the film. I mean, if she is going to be in the film, I think they served her well enough being forced into the film. I did like her capacity. I think she was well cast. It makes sense that Flag would have some insurance in case the squad guys turned on him. Katana's his bodyguard, and Katana, in the comics, I'm not saying to do like the origin precisely the same way, but the point is like Katana has things where she's worked with the government in the past, where that makes sense. She would be kind of like a bodyguard for hire for someone like Flag. And the Soul Taker sword is from the comics. That's pretty awesome. I like that way of addressing the magic too, of like saying, "Oh, they think she's crazy for like, oh, the souls of her victims go inside this sword. You see, it's glowing, and in fact, that yes, those souls do go in that sword. So I like you got a little bit of that in there, which is cool. And basically, she's the Black Spider of the team, I thought, to an extent. Again, not as memorable and awesome as Black Spider, but in comparison, there, she's like the cool character, the cool no nonsense character who she has like at least a one-liner where she's saying, well, again, she smells of death according to Harley Quinn, which is hilarious. But also the line she has where I love when she turns on Rick Flag too. She wasn't briefed on the whole mission to him, like saying, "Hey, to be an outlaws or something." He says, "I'm not an outlaw. I'd like to thieves. I'm not a thief." That whole thing is pretty.
That's the only line of English in this movie too.
Yeah. And I like that they did hint at something really good about her backstory. That I believe this is in the comics, so I know this is in the era when she appears in that, but. She has a tragic story about with the Soul Taker. So there's always tragedy associated with the Soul Taker. So sometimes it's her father, in this version it's her husband, where her husband was killed and the soul was sucked into the sword. And it's kind of a fun mystical angle to her. And I would like to see more of her in the future if she were more well developed. Otherwise, don't bring her back unless you can do something with her.
Okay, Jacob.
Well, I mean, I kind of have to see your guys' point though. I liked her concept. I like the basic concept of a sword that can steal people's minds. That's basically not minds, souls. I should probably correct myself there. But still a really interesting concept. They could have, hopefully they can play with that a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably even like to see a solo Katana movie. That might elaborate on her whole tragic backstory more. That'd
For
be.
sure.
That might be a bold statement because she's a very not as upfront and famous as some of the others, but it'd still be an interesting subject to explore. I mean, like a sort it could explore the other mystical side. I'd be like the Doctor Strange of this universe almost.
Yeah, and what would have been cool, and I think this might have been edited out, because I'm just saying, given how Harley kind of helps defeat Enchantress, I assume like it would have been kind of cool. I don't think that this communicates, and again, it might be in the director's cut, but like when she cuts the heart out, cuts the voodoo doll heart out. Imagine if, like in another version, that was like she uses the Soul Taker sword to take the Enchantress soul out, which leaves Dr. Moon. Everyone wins.
That's probably why Dr. Moon survived, though, probably because of the sword.
Yeah, and again, they don't really have the glowing thing on the sword when it's used in the movie, so that might have been something that might have been sacrificed for editing. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know. Well, I did like the concept of Katana. Like I said, I wish she was kind of in more of it because I've read up on her and I really do like her character. I don't know if she's ever had a solo thing in like comics or anything. I don't.
Like she was on a team with Batman. Batman formed a team of kind of B-lister heroes that he kind of made into like an A team.
Like I said, I don't know if she's ever had her own solo thing though. It'd be kind of interesting to see like her kind of like a solo thing for like. I mean, even in comics, it'd be kind of cool to see her do solo stuff.
Right.
But, I really liked the inclusion of her character. Kind of like, I like Chinese action things, and she like brought a lot of a lot of that into it. I thought she was a really interesting idea for a character. Granted, she could have been used more and probably explained a bit better, kind of like Killer Croc and all that.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Granted, she was explained better than Killer Croc and all that. But I think she was a pretty fun addition, and I think she has plenty of room to be explored in a sequel, possibly.
Okay.
Okay, so moving on to...
Let's talk about a guy who will most definitely not be in the sequel.
Yeah, because he costs too much money. He just costs too much money.
Hashtag RIP Slipknot.
This is the real A-lister of the cast.
Yeah,
Hashtag RIP Slipknot.
Okay, so... I mean, the one thing I have to say about Slipknot is I don't know who the fuck else they could have done as a first kill, but it was super obvious. Everyone knew.
Well, we know because of Batman v Superman, they couldn't use KG Beast. We know that.
right. I know, it's like everyone knew this guy was gonna die. It's like I think it's amusing. I think his scene is amusing. It's just like he's such a nothing. It's like I love how he's introduced. Oh, he could fucking tie like 50,000 knots or whatever the fuck. It's like
basically like grappling and rope tricks. That's a specialty. So you can tell enough about this guy's a goner.
Even his skill feels like out of place for the rest of the team. He almost kind of feels like the Hawkeye in the Suicide Squad in a way.
Yeah, it's like they were probably planning on using the scale of the building and stuff. That was probably the plan.
I don't know. Oh, God.
And then Captain Boomerang had to put that idea in his head.
This was Scott Eastwood, right?
Well, technically he did put the idea out of his head, and it ended up losing his head.
Yes.
But
I love that too.
Eastwood's character, right?
What?
Scott Eastwood?
What about him?
I think that was him, yeah.
That's not this guy, but he's in the movie. He's a different character. He's a military guy.
Sorry. Who? Oh, I'm sorry. Who is this guy then? Do we have an actor?
Slipknot's Adam Bench. Adam Bench is Slipknot. He's basically the Steven Seagal looking guy.
yes, exactly. right. Okay.
Point is, with Slipknot, he looks imposing. It looks like a cool version of like such an obscure character brought to life. I'll give him that. Again, I feel like had they given like another moment, it would have built up like kind of the comedy of like, yeah, these guys are gone, like can be gone like any second. Again, like in Assault and Arkham, you have a great moment with that, with a more kind of out there, kind of seemingly awesome character that you would like to see more of.
exactly.
They build him up enough. And here, I get a sense they're trying to do that with Slipknot, but they kind of realize, this guy's even his skill set. You kind of, if they could have only made him a little more important for for the gag to fully pay off. But with Slipknot's demise, I want to bring this up. I love this. I just love with Captain Boomerang putting the idea in his head. I love that Captain Boomerang strategically is testing the waters with this guy, staying closer with the group. So like if he runs away, he'll either have an escape and basically he'll be able to basically quickly say, okay, I give. Where Slipknot, he goes for the full getaway, in which, boom, head blows off, and I'm sure in the R-rated cut we'll see more brain splattery scanners awesomeness.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
That's all she wrote on Slipknot. Forget Death and Return of Superman. We're going to see Death and Return of Slipknot. And here's the best part: they can still keep the same logo too. It's like it's the S armband, just S for Slipknot. So S for.
I just love the whole notion of like the alternate universe version of this movie where like fucking Captain Boomerang dies first and Slipknot ends up being like the most important member of the Suicide Squad.
God.
God.
Jacob, anything to say about Slipknot?
Hashtag RIP Slipknot.
We hardly knew ye. Well, actually, we hardly knew that. That was the problem.
Yep.
Just
But,
absurd.
I said I didn't know much about him to begin with, and I didn't really have much attachment to him even before all those others.
So going from the most obscure, I'm sorry, Jim, go on.
But I really can't say I'm too upset about him dying. It's kind of interesting to see. I mean, the best part of that scene was Captain Boomerang testing that on him.
Right, exactly.
He essentially was there just to show that yes, these things are real and they work.
Yep. So going from the most obscure.
It was eventually just to show, like, yes, they can blow their heads off. That's That's basically the point why he's there.
Yep.
So,
right, from most obscure to least obscure.
Yes,
Yeah.
Amanda Waller, the head honcho of the Suicide Squad, and a big head honcho of the DC Universe.
And the Wall.
The Wall! Don't mess with the wall!
another brick in the wall.
Yes.
Sorry, I listened to
think
Pink
Amanda
Floyd.
Waller was nearly perfect in this movie. Like, nearly fucking perfect. I love the casting. I honestly hope that she gets to do more proactive stuff in the sequel. I think they nailed down her manipulation just right. I honestly thought she was one of the strongest parts of the movie.
Oh, believe me, you can't have the Suicide Squad without Amanda Waller, and Viola Davis played her to a T. Just absolutely perfect.
Oh yeah. I have practically no complaints about it whatsoever. I don't have that much to say. It's just like, I don't know. Just maybe she could have been a little bit more physically intimidating. Like, we've already gone over that, but I think she more than makes up with that with her the conviction in her performance for sure.
Okay, can I say something to that? Can I say something to that extent?
Yeah, go ahead.
What she lacks in her physical intimidation, she makes up for with her mental intimidation.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Like I said, this is like the Waller that everybody will look up to. Maybe not the animated one, because I haven't seen that. But this is the one that will define might define future Amanda Wallers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a lot better than the TV version, man. Basically, the TV in the current new 52 version, which she's the skinny Amanda Waller. Like here, it's like much more like you're instantly intimidated by Amanda Waller. It's kind of a good medium between thin and fat Amanda Waller, where she still has the powerful, and you still do not want to cross this lady.
Sure.
Well, yeah, like he's probably as crazy deep down as the rest of these guys.
Which is one of the great things about Waller's character.
It's like on a team of villains, our villains are by comparison, are less villainous than her.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. To tell you the truth, I think the film would have worked a lot better if she was the main villain.
And she's in charge.
Yes, and remember, T, she's responsible for all the villainy in this film, like the main threat that the squad's going up against.
Yeah, you're right. I'm just saying, like, they could have just erased the whole Enchantress thing out of the movie completely and just focused on, like the Suicide Squad. Like, let's say, just hypothetically, let's say they focus on Suicide Squad breaking out Lex Luthor, and just have her as the villain because she's got such a commanding presence as Suicide Squad.
Well, they probably have plans for her in the future. I have no idea, though.
Oh, I'm sure they do. I'm sure they have. I'm sure this character is going to be around for a while.
I don't want to give it away. There's some hints of what happens to Luthor in the Ultimate Cut.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Am I going to watch the Ultimate Cut blind, by the way? Do you want me to do that?
No, don't do that. Watch it in advance so you know what's going on.
Okay, fair enough. Anyways.
If I have time, can I join in on that, too?
Yeah, if you want to, sure.
If you want to subject yourself.
Commentary. But,
all right.
Anyways.
But for, like I said, I was honestly expecting her to die.
Yes, and I'm going to
Really?
get to that. I'm going to get to that in cons.
Oh my god, I'm totally like not with you guys at all. I'm
No. I'm saying Tiki. I didn't want her to die either. I'm just saying I don't know how she lived.
Let me say, okay, like I said, I'm going with Dragon here. Like, I was expecting her to die. I didn't want to, but like knowing all the things that have been going on and like knowing her character and like knowing how this movie's gonna work, I was honestly like expecting her to die.
Yeah, okay,
I
I
mean,
see what you
there's
get.
no reason she should have lived by the end of this movie, Tiki. And I'll get into that in the
They
cons.
basically pull a War of the Worlds. They pull a War of the Worlds.
It's great that she survives it. Believe me, I never want to live in a world without a in the
Exactly.
Suicide Squad movie. I mean, come on. But yeah, again, with the Enchantress angle, though, I do love the Suicide Squad has its strategic merit, but again, as she gets greedier and crueler, that kind of breeds the Enchantress turning on her. Which, again, you push people too far, they're going to turn on you. You're going to end up blowing up a lot of heads, Waller, and then that's her fatal flaw. She just keeps pushing things and gets more, cruel and distant to people.
Sure.
And also, again, speaking of this cruel and distant, I mean, imagine she just shoots all those innocent FBI guys just doing their jobs, and then, of course, that judge delivers the fantastic line, said, man, that is a mean lady. Just... And again, remember, she shot all of those guys purely because she needed to cover her tracks. She was going to shoot those guys regardless, but they walked in that room. She was that cruel. So to cover her tracks, basically cover the fact the Enchantress stuff is all her fault. That's why she's killing those guys.
Like,
So-
now that is a mean lady.
Yes, she's very imposing. But I love this. As imposing as she is, I love that she honors her arrangements, and we'll get to a scene later on, I guess, where, I mean, I love how Deadshot and her strike up a certain deal, and I love that she does honor her arrangements in regards to that. Like later on, like by the end, she's like saying, "Hey, can anyone have any other favors?" Because she's in a good mood, she'll grant favors. It's like. Yeah, she's kind of like the really cranky genie, It's like she can make anything happen. You guys get to catch her at the right mood.
It's kind of interesting if this like kind of has positive effects on like her ranks or anything like that.
Well, here's the interesting thing. Again, they've been kind of dancing around this in the DC EU, I guess. But again, we're still early on. We're only 3 movies in, so I guess it's fair so far. But Amanda Waller in the comics, she bounces around from various secret government groups. I mean, I don't know if this is Argus because Arrow kind of has a trademark on Argus. I don't know. I mean, there's Argus, there's Checkmate, and there's Cadmus. Those are the 3 organizations throughout the animated stuff and the TV show stuff she's worked for. So and Smallville also use Checkmate. So maybe that's why they're not mentioning what she's working for right now. I don't know.
Okay.
So also, the last thing is I love that very similar to Assault on Arkham, her big fatal flaw, she hates being outsmarted. That's why she hates being outsmarted by Enchantress, who kind of broke through the control, and that's why she's so vehemently going after everyone. And of course Harley, when Harley kind of outsmarts her, she really hates it.
She has a superiority complex.
Absolutely. Speaking of Harley, let's go to her pudding.
Joker.
Like I said, guys, I pretty much said all I need to say about the Joker. I think it's so unfair that people are giving him crap for like, oh, there's not enough Joker. No, the point of the Joker in this movie is that he is the Hannibal Lecter of the movie, and I love the fact that he comes in and just fucks with the squad and then leaves, and it feels so very DC animated universe to me. The Joker in this, like, absolutely, I don't know, it's like I'm still. Look, I need to see more of the Joker in terms of the whole kind of like, the British hooligan look to him. Having said that, I love the tattoos. I love what they do with the tattoos. We'll get to that. I thought the Joker was a standout. I absolutely understand him being a polarizing thing, though. I absolutely understand people who don't like him.
Yeah.
Okay,
so, I'm sorry, Jacob. Why don't you go first, Jacob?
Oh, sorry, I wasn't trying to butt in, but like I said, I can understand why. I also can see the polarization behind it. I mean, this is the Joker, like one of the greatest villains of all time, only reduced to a bit part in a supposedly big movie. Like I said, like I'm missing the point though. He's not really part of the Suicide Squad.
And it's not a bit part. I really don't think it's a bit part at all.
Well, that's just the easiest thing I could come up with.
Right.
Like I said. That's what people don't get. He's really not part of the Suicide Squad. Harley is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. They probably put him in there just to introduce him to the DC universe and give Harley Quinn a reason to be the way she is. That being said, they still did a good job with him. I mean, like, I was kind of hesitant about him going in at first. Obviously, I mean, you're always hesitant about a new introduction of a main character. I mean, we're all there. Like a new character played by a different actor, the same character played by a different actor. I mean, I mean, we're always hesitant when someone else is played by someone different, and you know, this Joker was like strived to be really different.
Oh yeah,
like all of them, like all of them, like played in like Jack Nicholson played it as like a like probably the straightest of all of them.
Jack Nicholson played it as Jack Nicholson.
Yeah,
but he kind of lived a Joker-like lifestyle, though.
I'm sorry, I'm not a big fan of the Jack Nicholson Joker. I'm really not.
Caesar Romero was like just more of an over-the-top prankster kind of guy.
I love Caesar Romero. I fucking love.
Me too. I'm just saying.
He might be my second. He might be Caesar Romero. Might be my third favorite after Ledger and. Anyways, I'm sorry, Jacob. Go ahead.
But like I said, Ledger definitely played it as the more like anarchist, played more of an anarchist.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like more of an anarchist than straight psychopath, just more like a guy who likes to create chaos.
Mm-hmm.
This guy, like straight up, is like a played-out psychotic mobster gangster kind of guy. Like probably one of the more closest adaptations, personality-wise, to other forms we've gotten. Like probably one of the more faithful adaptations, actually.
Yeah. Again, it very much kind of feels like, even though the look of it is radically different, it feels like it could be the same Joker that Mark Hamill's Joker is. Especially, especially with the way he interacts with Harley. I'm sorry, Jake. I'm sorry, Greg. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm really against that one.
I wouldn't go that far because I wouldn't even call him the best Joker. Well, probably would, but never mind. But probably would call him, but I'd say Jared Leto, or however you pronounce his name. He definitely made the role his own. I'll give it that. I can understand why people expect him to be more, considering how much how much they played him up in all the promotions and all that. I mean, like he's almost at the center of almost every promotion sometimes. So I can understand why people are expecting him to be more in there.
Yeah.
But he's probably like one of the more faithful adaptations to the character that we've gotten on the live screen. I'll say. On the live screen, I'll say. The live action for
like I said, I mean, I really do feel like it's a pretty accurate translation, at least in terms of like his mannerisms and the way he goes about things, and definitely Dragon. Like when I mean it's close to the animated series, I simply mean just in the way that he's introduced into the story. It very much feels like an episode of something else where the Joker's coming in and fucking things up. Like, it very much feels like the Joker, and, like, I'm not saying it's as good as this, okay, but it very much feels like the same sort of concept. The Joker in something like World's Finest or something like that. You know, it's like the whole point of the Joker is just kind of being this wild card who's just meant to just throw everything off, and I feel like that's very much what he is in the DC animated universe a lot of the time. And I feel like they represented that very well in this movie.
Well, there are my thoughts.
I say he definitely made the role his own. I'll give it that.
All right.
I mean,
I have a feeling Dragon's gonna have some harsh words, so let's give him the floor.
All right, look, here are my thoughts on that.
I just finished by saying I actually liked his portrayal, for however limited it may be. I hope we actually see more of this kind of guy.
Mm-hmm. All right, Dragon, you up.
All right, here are my thoughts on the Jared Leto Joker. So, look, here's the thing. Again, I'm in this bizarre place where a lot of my thoughts on the movie are really represented by Joker. The majority of my thoughts on the movie are primarily on Joker, where I think the editing really affected my take on this Joker here. And Tiki, it's going to sound a lot like I'm saying what you're kind of against, but it's not. Let me make that clear. It's a little more complicated than just the whole it wasn't featured in the movie, and basically he should have been in the movie more. No, it's not. That's not my problem. Here's my problem with it. It's similar in that they took Joker stuff out that does affect my views on it. I'm just missing too much to make a judgment call on this Joker. I'm in such a place. I have no idea what to make of this guy because I don't have enough time to get to know him. And again, I'm not saying I need to be in the plot or overshadow the movie. I'm just saying I need a little more time to get a feel of like what this Joker was all about. Because in concept, I like a few things in concept of what we do see. Again, we see very little Joker here, and I would disagree that he does not feel like he's serving like the same Hannibal Lecter role. Dark Knight Joker served. It was a minimal he wasn't in all over that movie. He was like, you felt him in a lot of scenes in that movie. He actually had a similar runtime to Hannibal Lecter Joker. I mean, I'll bet this one probably has a little bit more.
No. I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm sorry. That's bullshit. Ledger has almost an hour's worth of screen.
No, actually, he has 30 minutes, Tiki.
Really?
He has 30 minutes and sparse throughout, and you feel him in more scenes than you see. He's only in 30 minutes of that.
I could have sworn I've watched like a cut of all his scenes put together, and it was at least 45.
It's half an hour. It's 28 to half an hour. Okay, it's 28 to 30 minutes.
All right, fair enough. But Hannibal Lecter has like 15 minutes.
Yes, okay, I'll give you that. This, again, I think you have that in here, but it's not to the same effect that you're making it out to be.
Well, no, and I'm not saying it's to the same effect. I'm just saying that's definitely what they were going.
Okay, but look, here's my problem. Here's my problem with this Joker. And again, I want to make it clear. I'm not just saying this is a bad Joker by any stretch. My fact is, I have no feelings on Joker because I don't have enough to make a judgment call on. And I think, in concept, here are the things that are presented that I can kind of get a vibe of. I'm not getting any direct feelings on it. Like, in concept, Joker as a crime boss and kind of this feared figure is not bad.
Mm-hmm.
The tattoos, and I think they use this in the film very well. I like the hand tattoos, how they work, and the hand and the arm tattoos are really good.
We'll talk about that.
Well, we will. Point is, that was used well, and again, I like the teardrop. I know you're not crazy about it, Dave. My point is, like, fewer tattoos I'm okay with, and again, just factoring out, you can't change anything about the looks, so just factoring that out of the equation. Like, something that was, again, it's unconventional for Joker, but I kind of like this direction. I wish I had a little more time to kind of develop some feelings on it, is that this Joker seems to really care about Harley Quinn. And it's like, not usually, it's like, whenever he's in a room, it's like, he can't stand to be with Harley Quinn, but he can't stand to be with that. Or they didn't really showcase that. It's like, seemed like a genuine attraction, which, again, is a little different. I like the idea that it's, what they're presenting here is that most of the abuse is when they were falling in love, and following this, they're really close together and they work together, and Joker actually likes having her around. Like, a part of him just needs her around. And again, it's not the exact same thing, but it seems like it might bear some fruit. Like, okay, this is kind of, I still don't get used to this, because just Joker goes after her because it's his property, seemingly, at first. Again, there's some attraction there, but I don't have enough time to really make odds or ends out of that. The wardrobe's great. I think the wardrobe's great, like, stylistically, again, like, basically from a distance, I think this Joker looks perfect. Again, he doesn't have, like, he has like the gray hair, the chemically white skin. I love his wardrobe. It seems a little bit Dark Knight Returns meets kind of classic Joker, especially he's in the top hat and tails suit. He's in like the black suit with the corsage. The opera suit, tuxedo. I mean, sorry.
Right.
But again, all I'm saying is it's not enough. There's not enough time to do. Again, a few of those scenes were taken out. I'm not saying these scenes will instantly solve everything. I'm just saying, like, I need more time period with this Jared Leto Joker to make any sense, because it just seems like, aside from the only two inklings of a character trait we give this Joker is that he's very brutal, and with the whole execution of Harley Quinn, which is pretty cool. And the fact that an interesting quirk that I did see is that he goes after people's families, like every incidental guy. He can go after their family. Shows the guy getting into like the Suicide Squad bomb making factory.
Right.
When he goes in there, like, he holds like an iPhone, like an iPad or something, with the guy's wife, like, says, they'll kill me, they'll do whatever they want. The fact that Joker goes after families and everything, that's, again, hearkening to a death in the family. That's good. That's the only insight we get to why Joker's feared in Gotham, aside from the look. But aside from that, he's kind of generic, which is an issue. With the state the film is in, he looks really generic. I don't have enough to...
I don't agree with that, but that's...
What about him is interesting or Joker-like, aside from those two elements I just pointed out? Again, the whole, like, he's brutal and he goes after his family. Aside from the one brutal action of shocking the crap out of Harley Quinn, what do you see him do in this movie?
I think the fact that he is an enigma is what's interesting about him. I think, like I said, I'm gonna say a lot about how he uses his tattoos. I mean, I think the fact that he has kind of crafted this whole legacy based on a lot of scare tactics, that's really what I found kind of fascinating about this guy.
I don't think we have anything establishing that legacy, aside from the fact that they call him boss and everything. We know Joker as his men, that's about it. We don't know, anyone would fear this guy's looking at him. We don't really get a sense of, like, the Joker's been around, he has this legacy. I don't know.
But that's what I'm saying, though. That's what I'm saying, is I like the fact that, this Joker basically kind of rose to power through sheer intimidation tactics and through basically, like, psychological, like, mind-fucking people. And I get that there's no, like, overt explanation of that, but I think it's hinted at with the way he uses tattoos. I think it's hinted at that he really does kind of just get into people's heads, and we see that, of course. Harley Quinzel is, like, a perfect example of how he gets into people's heads.
You made Harley Quinn do a dance and then shot a guy in the head. It doesn't seem like really seem too scary to me. It's like a whole possession thing with Harley Quinn, yeah. But it's, like him saying, hey, you like her, and just like the fact that you looked at Harley Quinn. Again, that's suggesting the whole, like, he really genuinely is attracted to Harley Quinn, which, again, I might be, I'm kind of like, and I'm too vague on this Joker. I just, hopefully, again, I'm not saying, like, all their answers are instantly going to be in this extended cut, but I would assume with, like, an extra hour, we might get, because we know there was more Joker stuff. That's all, and that's a kind of a big reason. I can sense that I might like this Joker, but I need more of him. And not more in that he needs to overshadow the plot, just more of my, I know something's missing with this guy, and I can feel it,
All right, fair enough.
And I just can't, again, I'm not saying he's bad, I can't rank among the rest of them, because I'm not getting a full picture of what this guy is.
Yeah, that's understandable. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess moving on from the Clown Prince of Crime to...
The Dark Knight of Gotham.
Yes.
It's a cameo. It's like a cameo.
Well,
it's a cool cameo. It's a great cameo. I wish that...
That's all they ever said it would be.
Well, I remember them kind of coming out and saying that Batman would basically be like a horror movie villain in this movie, and that's not the case, really, at all. Not even slightly.
Extended cut.
Yes.
And again, it might be something that's in the direction, but again, I hate having that looming director's cut over my head, because anything that's kind of missing in this film might be in that, but we don't know for certain. It's only an hour.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have too much to say, really. It's just like Dragon. I know it's one of your favorite scenes, so I'll just kind of let you take the reins on it. It's just like I like that Batman's there, and I like that he's connected to Deadshot. I just don't. I wish that they would have given Batman like. Look, I'm not saying Batman has to be a supporting character or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, I wish Batman would have had at least like one or two more action sequences in this movie, as just kind of like that antagonistic force to the Suicide Squad, almost kind of this like, that Batman Begins style, like the villains like are scared shitless of this guy. I really wanted to see that explored more than it was.
Well, I mean, look, with the Suicide Squad, Batman's not always a guarantee. Only Batman's main connection is, like, he goes up against Waller a few times, and again, it's not always a certainty. Like, you could, technically, this movie, even without Batman, this film would have still been, I'm saying the premise of Suicide, you could, in theory, have a Suicide Squad movie without Batman. That's what the sequel would be, I would imagine. But said in the DC universe, those cameos are really awesome, and they really flesh out the world anymore. I mean, aside from Harley Quinn, Batman... Again, Suicide Squad teams have existed before Harley Quinn. That's what I'm saying. You can have stories without Batman and Suicide Squad together, but the best ones have Batman in them. That's the difference. Mm-hmm. And with this one, I think there was just the right amount of Batman that was still effective, even though it wasn't kind of woven like it was in Assault on Arkham, where Batman was a key figure. It makes sense. Batman, something's going on Arkham. It's in Gotham City. We're not even in Gotham City. There's no reason Batman would be in this conflict, aside from an escaped Joker going after Harley Quinn. And again, we don't even... Well, from what we see, is like Joker's he's on the loose. He's escaped. Batman doesn't quite know where he is. He could be finding him. I don't know. Maybe again, there could be stuff missing. I hate having. I know I keep repeating that. It's something looming over our head. But I like what we do get of Batman here. I can only hope there are a few more Batman scenes, because so far they were all excellent in this film. Without getting too much into it, I like that Batman was important to Deadshot's story, and I like how he gets kind of blamed. Deadshot personally blames him for the separation of him and his daughter. I like that, and I like how personal that vendetta is. We see when Deadshot's kind of hallucinating his perfect reality. Oh, by the way, with Joker and Harley Quinn, I know it's kind of past, but they have this excellent moment where it chances to showing everyone kind of their wildest dreams. And this is actually, I'm gonna say it from. I now realize it's part of my moment. Actually, I'm sorry. Okay. But also, last thing to mention is that we have a great homage between the kind of Batman versus Waller scene at the very end of this, of kind of Bruce Wayne and Amanda Waller having, like, if we find Bruce Wayne's actually using Amanda Waller and kind of keeping tabs on her and assembling the Justice League. That's how he kind of is on the warpath to find the Justice League.
Hmm. All right.
Thanks to Waller. And he's also threatening to shut down the Suicide Squad, which is pretty cool, too. A few quick cameos we did see in the film, I should mention.
I didn't like his line. I didn't like the line, like, you should stop working nights. Yes, which implies she may or may not know. In this case, I would suggest she knows. I think she knows.
I would think so, yeah.
I forget what he said after. I forget what Bruce said after that, though. He said something to retort, something like that. I forget.
It wasn't... I don't know. I think he threatened the shut the Suicide Squad down before that line. I'm not sure if it was after.
It was after. It was like he said something after she said, "We should stop working nights."
I don't know. It was pretty incidental. finally on a rewatch, perhaps. Anyway, so a few quick airs. This funny. Scott Eastwood was character. Everyone was talking about because Scott Eastwood, aside from the famous father, he's appeared in a few things. People are people always like, especially like my mother. She loves Scott Eastwood. Why I don't know. She's like mainly loving his son, I guess. But he's really curious about what role Scott Eastwood. And a lot of people speculate Scott Eastwood might be Deathstroke or so many other characters, like any variety of like kind of mercenary or other sorts of characters in the DC universe. Some people thought he might be like not Rick Flag, but King Faraday. Some various other killers. He was apparently a generic military guy. I mean, he might actually be a character in the DC universe called GQ Edwards. That's what his credited name is. I'm not quite sure, but I have to look into that. But so we had him, and I suspect because there was like a bit in the trailer where like he and another guy were like kind of like buddy with each other on Rick Flags, kind of army guys, commando squad along with the Suicide Squad, like fist bumping each other, like that sort of stuff. It looked pretty. Like, I suspect we're going to see more of Scott Eastwood's character in the director's cut because of that, because we had some stuff in the trailer. Aside from that, two other characters I'll highlight real quick. Griggs. Griggs was a character we know Joker has something intended for, because he's the guy who says to, I can't wait to show you my toys.
Right, yeah.
And I liked how they extended Griggs. I like how Griggs had an antagonistic relationship with Deadshot and with Harley Quinn, and like Deadshot almost shoots him, all the fun stuff with Griggs, and also Griggs, it connects to how Joker is able to find Harley Quinn and all that stuff. I like that Griggs is kind of a runner through it.
Mm-hmm.
The last one, this is actually a Deep Cuts reference. I really appreciate this reference, and we'll see how this goes in the future films, because it could be the next Bob Lagoon if we're lucky. I'm shooting for the moon with that. But Joker's lead henchman is a guy by the name of Johnny Frost. Now, Johnny Frost is from the Joker graphic novel, in which it's all about Joker and his relationship with a new lead henchman called Johnny Frost. And I'm not saying they're going to do that to a T. I'm just saying the fact that an important henchman could be a future Gilzine if we're lucky.
Oh God.
I'm saying that we have that sort of potential. This guy's kind of an iconic Joker henchman, and we'll see if they do anything with that in the future. And he was like, wait a minute. Again, we saw Joker survive, so maybe the rest of the guys somehow survived. If not, then he's dead. So maybe that squashes all my hopes. But then again, Joker survives, but he's the Joker. So actually, we'll see going forward what happens.
Okay.
Anyway, that's our little cameos there. So speaking of that, let's go to our pros and cons.
Yeah, pros, I mean, I definitely think this film has a good style to it. I think David Ayer kind of he definitely took the auteurist approach to this. He knew what he wanted to do. I think the film maybe could have had a little bit more brighter of a color scheme to match the ad campaign. Having said that, I think it's interesting how the ad campaign is almost sort of a contrast to what the film ends up being. Cons, I mean, like, the easy con is the editing. I mean, come on, we've been talking about it all this podcast.
It's what's tainted my Joker thoughts.
Right. I mean, I don't really... Can I also mention one thing? I like the music in this, and I feel like people are generally kind of mixed on the music, and I really like the music. I think that I like the fact that everyone got their own theme song. I think the music kind of added character in its own way. Like, it's certainly not Awesome Mix Volume 1 in terms of, like, the great thing about Awesome Mix Volume 1 is how it incorporates itself into the story, of course, but I don't know. Just, anyways.
Alright, pros. It's got a great cast, great performances. The squad itself is awesome and well represented. Has some genuine heart in there. It's a lot of cool and fun action. Tonally, it's consistent with the Suicide Squad, which is very important. There's some laughs, but a lot of drama. Not drama, but a lot of kind of dark stuff, but comedy here and there. It's a great exploration into the DC universe, which is something we were sorely kind of in conflict with in Batman v Superman. And Harley stole it. Those are the pros. The cons. Minimal, but kind of still impactful. Cons. Again, the editing. Basically, I'm missing too much Joker stuff and just too much editing overall, just to kind of fully enjoy the film, because I sense there's something missing. And for me personally, if this is all we get of Joker, like if he doesn't have any a little more interesting things about him that we're missing here, I'm going to say it's a disappointing Joker. I'm saying that's if we don't have anything more to this guy that I'm missing. In my opinion,
Fair enough.
So again, we have Jared Leto attached to this. He's a real method guy. We hear all of this stuff going into he's giving all these Joker-like gifts to people. He's saying the character stuck with him. It sounds there was a lot of hype around this Joker. I was looking forward to it. And if there's nothing more to him, then then we're hopefully going to see on a director's cut. I'm going to say I was disappointed by it. Let's see. Enchantress and Incubus, of course, lacked a lot of development. Again, all of us kind of harkening back to the key editing problem, but the goal of the machine is a little vague. Kind of the giant. We're going to build a machine, and it's just the giant rift and the, the city.
Yeah, I wonder where I've seen that one before.
Not quite sure. Oh, don't go there. So, big thing. I like that Deadshot addresses this, though. I'll give him this, but how in the heck is Waller not killed? I mean,
that almost gives it a free pass.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I want Waller to live. I'm just saying, how in the heck does Enchantress not kill Waller after all she's subjected to? Again, I'm sensing it's going to be like a nightmare sequence we're missing with Amanda Waller.
She's kind of using. Well, if you notice, she was kind of using her for information. So maybe that's how she didn't die.
I don't know what information she was getting from Waller, but.
Remember, she was like, remember that one guy she was attacking all these secret facilities. She's like, that was secret. How could she know about it? And then it showed like a cord or something going into Waller's mind.
All right, maybe it's still kind of questions like why the heck would she still keep around after getting all that information? It can't take that long to get all that information out of Amanda Waller.
I don't know. That's just what I'm saying.
That's fair. It's fair. I'm just saying I'm going to reserve judgment on points, but it's addressed, so I'm going to cut some slack on that regard. And again, editing seems to be a handicap. Is the best way to phrase it. Those are all my comments.
All right, Jacob. Anything to add to pros and cons?
Well, nothing to add really, other than all your guys is basically what you guys said. Pros, good casting, definitely great casting. I mean, that's one thing these movies seem to be doing is great casting.
Yep.
I did like the soundtrack. I mean, definitely fit. A's direction of the characters is also very good. I said, the style, although darker than the ad campaign, ironically. I mean, I like the style of the campaigns. This actually ended up being a lot darker. I mean, I wish they had a bit more color to it. I mean, all these characters have color to them in their counterparts. They could have added that a bit more, make the film, stand out amongst the gray of the DC extended universe. That's definitely a con.
Mm-hmm.
The editing, definitely. Incubus more than the Enchantress for me.
Yeah.
It's definitely more Incubus. They definitely could have given a lot more explanation on them. And how they were able to how is he even able to feint and take on merge 3 humans into this giant metal thing?
Mm-hmm.
That could have definitely been explained better than magic. Deal with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, not everything needs an explanation. It just would have been nice to okay, where'd they get these powers from? How do they have these powers? Why did the humans worship them and all that? It said the humans stopped worshipping them, and that's why they turned against them. That's why they hate humans now.
Yeah.
So why did they worship them? Who were they? Who worshipped them? Okay, that's most of my cons that doesn't fit with what you guys said.
Okay.
Other than what you said, pros and cons are basically the same.
Cool. So, favorite scenes?
Actually, one last con. I didn't like the music when Joker and Harley were at the Ace Chemical plant. I thought that was over the top. Okay, moving on to moments.
Fair enough. Okay, Dragon, why don't you start?
Okay, so overall, I love the introductions. Just broadly, I love all the introductions. It's not specifically the text on the screen, all that stuff. I mean, that was fine, but especially I love the Batman segments of the introductions. Again, it was also harkening back to the Assault on Arkham thing, where we had these really great introductions to our squad members. But specifically, I love just the 2 Batman segments we got. I love the Deadshot scene in that. The Deadshot scene where we see him kind of haggling with the guy over the phone who hasn't paid him yet. Deadshot's a guy.
For the text scene, I like how to listen to all these guns and how he's expert in almost everything.
Yeah.
Then it said relation daughter wife, then switches to ex-wife.
Yeah, but I love both Deadshot scenes very much, and that I love again he's negotiating with the guy on the.
Like, and make that and double it for being a dickhead.
Exactly, he's lovely. And it's Deadshot does have a code, and like if you get the money up front, and if you spit in the face of that, Deadshot's not gonna do your job. And he's such a shrewd businessman. He gets paid double $2 million. It looks like. So I think it was $2 million, wasn't it? The point is, he gets a lot of money. He doubles his cash, and shooting the guy with an excellent kind of ricocheting shot, and puts the mask on to escape. It makes all sense in the world. And even better, I was floored by when it happened.
It's almost like he planned for him to be delayed, almost by the way he put that reflector there. Like he planned him to be delayed.
I don't know. Again, I think that shows just I don't know. I don't buy into that.
I mean, it might be a stretch a little bit, but it just seems like he comes well prepared and anticipated it almost.
Well, sure. I mean, I'll give you that. Maybe he's anticipating, even if the guy doesn't deliver, he'll strong-arm the guy into extra. That's why he might take that position, perhaps. Okay, I'll give you some of that. Anyway, so I love more so my favorite scene. If I can pick like one thing in this entire film that I was blown away by in all of his introductions, and they're all good, and I'll highlight a few bits here and there. But big thing, I love Batman Deadshot confrontation because there's this one moment, guys. There's this one moment that's so classic Batman. It's just oh my god. It's like after Batman v Superman, I was just clinging to any really awesome on the money Batman movies we got in the movie. Batman's a little out of character in portions of that movie. This bit to me though was so Batman. Like he's in Deadshot and his daughter, they're hanging out. They kind of walk into this alley, which of course anything in an alley is always going to have some meaning for Batman. But I just love that Batman appears like an awesome Bat entrance. He's arresting Deadshot, but he says this. There's this great bit where he says, "Well, I don't want to do this in front of your daughter." I love it when he says that's so Batman.
Yeah,
he's just telling like
I get you.
That is as unfathomably as undeniably Batman, and also like the fact that his daughter saves Batman. That's awesome. Saying like, Daddy, don't do this, and you don't fight Batman. That is so
right.
That is undeniably my favorite part of this whole. Just that is so. Again, I know it's such a small moment, but that is just it's so undeniably Batman. But also, it's so many great little undeniable Batman moments in the introduction. Like specifically, I love it when he saves Harley. And like first of all, Harley's like slicing him with a knife, and he just punches her underwater. So, but more so, it's again these are the bits we were missing in Batman v Superman. That's what I'm harping on in the intros here. I just love it when he gives mouth-to-mouth resuscitation to Harley. The fact that he's Batman realizing, I gotta save her life, even though she won't. The fact that he saves her, like, does that awesome shot of like it's such a fantastic still of him carrying her to the car, but then you're doing the mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Harley just gives him a look of like, yeah, you had to save me. It's great.
Right.
You guys want to take some before we kind of bounce back and forth here?
Why don't you just crack out both yours? We'll do it that way.
The other one is just in general. I love all the glimpses at Mad Love, and it's in the introduction primarily, but those glimpses include there's this really well-directed bit in just kind of the showcase of Harley Quinn that's kind of recaps her origin. Which one, she's dressed exactly like the Mad Love comic, red shirt with the white jacket and the black. It looks like a Harley Quinn costume already, and like in shadow we see the Joker kind of going on, basically manipulating her just like Mad Love, but he's in shadow, and I love that. You have that in which that Mad Love thing. And of course, there's that fantastic Alex Frost shot where it's basically him in the tuxedo and her in her dresser costume. It's like, we didn't expect to see that. I'm amazed. We already got a lot of Easter eggs where Joker has the Harley costume like on a mannequin in his place, with all the knives and everything. He's also Harley Quinn has a version of it for herself in her own little thing she's holding up. Again, just to show you, folks, it doesn't not exist. It's in this universe, so maybe one day you'll see her in it, but the point is, we're giving a little nod, and you saw her in it for one brief, glorious shot. It's homaging a very fantastic piece of Batman artwork. And also, last thing, Mad Love reference we do get in the film, I loved. There's it's a really small bit, it's not in the animated episode of it, it's in the comic, where Harley pictures her perfect life with the Joker, and in her vision of and in Enchantress, the vision that Enchantress gives her, the whole normal button vision she has, that's homaging kind of the Mad Love thing. Oh, it's not as played hilariously over the top. But basically, he is the Joker, and he's like kids that look like Joker, and Harley Quinn's like beating the crap. Like, but Daddy, he poisoned me. I just hear Mark Hamill's voice in the back of my head in this comic panel with like gray in his hair. He's just with like a pipe in his hand. It's like, well, you just poisoned him right back, honey. It's hysterical. But point is, I love it. We got a twisted glimpse in like what a normal life Joker and Harley would be like. It was all the Mad Love references there. And last thing I'll mention, because it connects to the Deadshot stuff, and these are like the quick things. I love I love that ending moment between him and Flag, where Flag gives him a minute to kind of say goodbye to his daughter. You know, it's like Flag and Lawton's kind of like gives him these little nods of like, you know, he acknowledges like you have a relationship with your daughter. He knows from the get go how valuable Lawton's daughter is after you make all those deals and all that sort of stuff. You know, it makes all the deals of like, you know, make sure my daughter's taken care of. And Will Smith's reaction to getting all the letters from his daughter. So that is Will Smith's best moment of acting in the movie, I think. Just him reacting to seeing the letters from his daughter, just being so touched by it. Anyway, those are all my moments, folks. Go on.
Jacob, go ahead.
Okay, so I guess I'll do them in order of their scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I call it rooftop rescue, but I guess it kind of talks about the whole scene inside the building. Where like the whole scene where they go up the building and then get to Waller, and then where Joker rescues Harley Quinn. That entire scene would probably be one of my favorites in this. Like, it's so well executed and well done. It's like one of those scenes where I talk about it's actually one of those scenes I talk about that doesn't have like all the close-up shots and all the close-up action and all that. Like, it gives enough time for a character to be their own in their action scenes, and definitely demonstrates their teamwork in a good way. All the while showing what Waller's all about, and even gives us a glimpse of Joker in all his glory. I think that in addition to all that, then the entire scene, like, I wish they would have been more creative with some of the action, though, instead of just shooting everything.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing. I bet the action scenes weren't as creative weren't as creative in this as they were in Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman, but they still worked. I mean, they still worked. I mean, they had like people hitting with baseball bats and giant hammers, so I give it a pass.
Okay.
But like I said, then the whole tower scene, other than some of the character interactions later on, is like that's like what this movie is like made to be almost. Completely over the top, insane, and just completely awesome.
Yeah.
And also the bar scene. just everything about that scene. I mean, like, this is also what the movie. This is the other thing that the movie has to be. Like, it has to show this shows why we have to care about the characters, especially El Diablo. His tragic backstory. You guys want me to explain it?
Yeah, briefly, I guess. Sure.
Well, long story short, El Diablo was this guy who, long story short, discovered he had the power to control fire. He slowly rose up to the ranks as a hitman to make money. He had a wife and a family. He had a wife and 2 kids. His wife obviously did not like the fact that he was doing what he did, and it's implied that through an argument he lost control of his anger and killed them.
Yep.
But that's why, and that's actually the reason why he surrendered and went to jail.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the few who actually surrendered himself, and that's why. He felt extreme guilt for what he had done, and he's feeling that this could probably atone for his actions, in a way. So, and the overall interactions between the characters, just like the entire movie is loud in a way. This is like one of the few chances they get to be in a quiet situation, and like talk things out and talk things over, like why they're doing this, what the hell happened, and all that. And that's one reason, and that's why this scene just really works well. Plus, you get a hilarious line from Killer Croc. It's like they're talking about how they're all like
ugly on the inside.
Well, what I was saying was I was trying to think of the person, but it was Captain Boomerang that was talking to Harley after she said something. He's like, "You may be good, may be beautiful on the outside, but on the inside, you're ugly." But then she's like, "We all are. We're all ugly on the inside." And he points to Croc. "Well, except you. You're ugly on the outside too." And then he's like, "No, it's you. I'm beautiful."
Gotta love that out of Wale.
Yep.
Okay.
It's like those are the two scenes that I think like would definitely make up the core essence of what Suicide Squad is.
Okay, cool. All right, folks, my two are very, very, very quick. I've kind of been going over them in general, but I love the use of the Joker's tattoos in this movie. I think it's absolutely one of the coolest things about the Joker. I love, like, the second I saw the smiley face on his arm, I was hoping he would do the thing where he puts the tattoo over his. Holy crap! My camera's just terrible. Jesus Christ. Wow. I'm gonna turn my camera off because wow, I just looked at it again and it's really, really bad. Oh my god. I'm sorry, folks. I got completely off track there.
And then there was darkness.
It was like that the entire time.
Yeah, I know. I don't know.
Tattoos, arm tattoos.
I love the tattoos just because I feel like it gives the Joker a unique presence other than, I feel like the tattoos are definitely what sets the Joker apart from the other Jokers that we've gotten in live action form, and I love the way that...
not the metal teeth or anything.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, the metal teeth too, Jacob, but I mean, I'm just saying, just the way that the Joker uses the tattoos, the way he uses them for intimidation, putting his, I love how he has different mouths tattooed to different parts of his arms and hands and everything. Just all that just really worked for me. It was really creepy. I want to see more of it. I want to see so much more of it. Oh my god. And then also, I just love Captain Boomerang. I love how they just completely acknowledge that he's a Flash villain. The Flash shows up in the intro to stop him.
Yes, I was so happy they announced. With the spoiler thing you mentioned, like I didn't know Flash was coming, but they said another Justice League member will most likely cameo in the film, and I figured out of all of them, logically it has to be the Flash because of Captain Boomerang. Who else is it going to be?
Right.
I was so happy when it happened. Yes, Flash!
And we kind of saw it in the trailers, but I feel like I think out of everyone that when we get that whole roundtable thing where they're all being introduced to each other and they're all kind of coming out of the body bags and everything, I think Boomerang is definitely the standout in that scene just because he's just absolutely a ball of energy. Jai Courtney I don't know. I'm not getting my points across well at all because I was just thrown off by how bad the camera was, so I apologize. I'm really...
Well, it's in the past. Let it go.
I know, it's just, it bothers me. It bothers me. I'm like, oh god, that's horrible production values. That's so shoddy. I don't really have anything else to say. Captain Boomerang had a really great introduction. Love the use of the Flash. Love the fact that this film kind of ties together the DC universe more than Batman vs. Superman does. Definitely because we got the Flash villain and we got the Flash showing up to stop the Flash villain. Just that simple thing. It's like I said, Dragon, I'm sorry, but just all the interwoven stuff, like the Flash showing up, the Joker kind of being like this kind of this wild card figure, all of this stuff very much calls to mind the DC animated universe for me, which is definitely a favorite part of my favorite part of the movie. Okay, and
look, you can say that. I'm just saying, Mark Hamill Joker. I'm not quite seeing the correlation there, but that's fair. It's fair. Moving on, Jacob.
Is this Final Thoughts?
Oh, I'm Ted.
Yeah.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. I meant are we starting Final Thoughts then?
Yeah, Final Thoughts. I don't really have anything else. I think this movie it's far and away the best DC movie that I've seen. I mean, I think this movie is far and away better than the Zack Snyder movies. Maybe that's just because I have a real distaste of Zack Snyder. But I think David Ayer absolutely was trying to do something with this, and I think we can't really blame him for the whole editing that took place. I really think that was
not on
DC's.
Netflix.
Yeah, right. So in that regard, I really do feel like this film, I don't understand how this film is at a 25% on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever the fuck it is. I mean, I really don't understand that. I mean, I could understand maybe a 60 or a 50, but it's not. There's so much going for this film in terms of the visuals, the performances that. I mean, it was a bold experiment, and I think 80% out of 100% of the time, the experiment's paid off. There was definitely some things that were shaky about it. There's definitely some growing pains that the DC universe in general is going through. They need to fucking... DC just needs to have faith in their directors and just fucking not have these director cuts, or else we're just never going to take theatrical cuts of these DC movies seriously, and that's going to become a major problem. But overall, I'm satisfied with this. All right.
Yep. Good
Jacob.
thoughts. Oh, you want me to go next?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, I can't really say much more than I've already done. Like I said, just like with any of these superhero movies, or any movies in general, there are its hiccups. No movie's perfect. This movie, I would say, definitely far from perfect. But as far as the movies contained within the DC extended universe, not like Batman Begins or the Superman movies, I would definitely say that this is of the DC extended universe. The three have gone so far. This probably is the best one. So I definitely would go with that. And definitely a different take on the whole superhero vibe. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I mean, we've never really had. I mean, the Avengers was historic because that was the first time superheroes ever got together on a live-action screen like that. This could be considered historic too because no one's ever done that with supervillains before.
No, I agree to that. I agree to that to a certain extent. I mean, people are just like running over themselves to compare this to Guardians of the Galaxy, but really, obviously, Guardians of the Galaxy wasn't supervillains. So, yeah, I mean, I do think this film does have a unique place, not just within the DC universe, but for superhero movies for sure.
Yeah, Guardians were outlaws. They weren't, they weren't villains. They were outlaws.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I'd say the Guardians are more mercenaries than anything else.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, mercenaries is still that's kind of doing killing.
Regardless.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Like I said, this movie could. I think this movie could. I wouldn't say it's as good as the Avengers, obviously, but I mean, it definitely deserves its place in history as like the first film to put together a bunch of supervillains together on screen. Not counting Batman the movie.
Yeah, if it beat Sinister Six.
Batman the movie. I like that.
That was just a couple of Batman's villains.
Of course.
Adapted from a TV show. This time it's like a full-blown production. I'd say it's definitely well worth the time. I don't know why it's rated the way it is. I mean, I think people are just, like, I can probably look good if I hate this movie or give it a low rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, let's take the Rotten Tomatoes thing out of it because Rotten Tomatoes is just like Rotten Tomatoes. Really, people who are complaining about Rotten Tomatoes don't know how Rotten Tomatoes works. But
well, I know how Rotten Tomatoes works. I'm just saying, like, people are probably like, I'm gonna hate this movie even though I haven't seen it just to look cool.
I'm just saying, like, there's this notion that Rotten Tomatoes itself is paying off critics to give negative reviews to DC movies, which is absurd because no fucking critics write for Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes is not an entity that. All right. I'm sorry.
I didn't even mention Rotten Tomatoes in that phrase. I was talking about people.
I know, Jacob. I know. I'm just saying, just in general.
I haven't seen this movie, but I'm gonna hate on it because people are doing it, and I'll look cool.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, I did see it, but I'll tell people I hated it because I don't want to sound like an idiot.
To be fair, Brad Jones, who is kind of notorious for not liking any of the DC movies, liked this movie, so, you know.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, it's kind of lost.
No, like I said, I mean, I like this movie for what it's worth. I mean, obviously, I mentioned throughout everything, it does have its hiccups, but I'd definitely like to see it. I mean, I'd definitely like to get this when it comes out. I mean, it's a well-made movie. Definitely, like, I have faith that David Ayer could, if given the proper reins, could probably create a very, very good sequel to this movie. Because it's confirmed that he is doing a sequel after his next movie, Suicide Squad 2, after his next movie. So,
is it popped up that I want to see Edgar Wright do a Suicide Squad movie?
That's
asking
Tiki.
for trouble. That's asking for trouble.
That would be interesting, though, I will admit.
Edgar Wright's actually, here he's a...
Go ahead, Dragon.
I hear Edgar Wright's actually attached to do some sort of superhero movie. Well, he's interested in pursuing a superhero movie at this point.
Okay.
Well, considering what happened with Ant-Man.
That's what I'm saying, so I forget which one it was, but he's looking into taking on another superhero.
He'd be perfect for a superhero movie. I want to see him do a superhero movie. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is practically a superhero movie. Anyway.
But, like I said, I like this movie. I'm glad I went to see it. definitely a step in the right direction for DC. Their next movie is Wonder Woman, so let's hope that goes well.
Oh yeah.
Okay, here are my final thoughts then. Overall, it's a good movie. It was fun. Not as great as Assault on Arkham, but it was half as good as like I was hoping for. So again, my expectations were met. Reserving a lot of judgment for the R-rated director's cut. I mean, again, I don't want to sound like an anti-Joker. It's like I need more time with him, but because I can see a good movie here, just a few key bits are missing. That's really, again, reserve a lot of judgment. I think the film we really should be critiquing is David Ayer's full work, which will be this director's cut. So
Absolutely.
we'll reserve judgment for that one. But again, I think this represents the Suicide Squad well, and I think people should be satisfied with this. Overall, good movie. Maybe it's great. We don't know yet, but overall, good movie.
All right, thanks for joining us, folks. I apologize for my laggy camera, and I apologize if the mic wasn't quite as good or whatever, and I also have a lack of sleep going on, so my thoughts are jumbled. But I hope you enjoyed this, and stay tuned. We're going to be doing a commentary on the Batman vs. Superman Ultimate Edition very, very quick, so stay tuned for that, and yeah.